Alright, so welcome everyone. This is Andres Restart. This is the weekly Nintendo podcast we do here on my channel, Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Currently, I am joined by my good friend Brandon from What About Nintendo. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing awesome. Just started playing Fire Emblem today, which is my first mainline Fire Emblem title. Started a lot of new stuff. My first Pokemon, my first Fire Emblem. So a lot of new stuff. I feel like if I'm a Nintendo channel, I should be well versed in these Nintendo franchises. So I'm trying to get myself more broadening the scope of what I know.
Absolutely. I've noticed you started up both Pokemon and Fire Emblem. I think it's a good idea to go back and play through different franchises of Nintendo that you haven't necessarily gotten into yet.
For sure.
Actually, when I think about it, what can I get into that I haven't? I don't know. I think I've played like everything. I mean, not everything. The only Animal Crossing that I really played a lot of was Wild World on the DS. So I could maybe give the 3DS version a try. And I also didn't play the most recent Fire Emblem games on 3DS. I played more of the Game Boy Advance ones. So those are some things I can go to, for sure.
Yeah.
Anyways, welcome everyone in the chat. Hey, Zach is back. Hey, Josh. Ryan, you were here early. Sabbath64, man, we are just getting started. What's up, Arushan? Yeah, Arushan was asking how to change your name on YouTube. I'm gonna have to figure it out, to be honest. I don't really know how. Shirane, how's it going? Oh, it's 3 a.m. where you're at. Oh, wow.
Oof.
Yeah. Shuntaro Furukawa was here earlier. Josh Sheriff. So we got a lot of people in, or who have stopped by at least. Sweet. Wow. Oh, I'm honored, Shirane, that you stayed up for this. Hopefully we can put up a pretty good discussion tonight. So,
are you not entertained?
Yeah. We got some cool E3 stuff to talk about. So hopefully you guys can see the topics. All right. And if, for the record, everyone, if there's some sort of audio issue or something going on, let me know. So here we are. We're going to be talking about Arc System Works and Capcom. There are some talks about them having some games coming to Switch in the future. Then we're talking about Fortnite coming to Switch. Maybe there's a rumor going on about that. We're going to get into a Monolith Soft rumor as well. Just talking about the next Monolith Soft game. Those are the guys who make the Xenoblade games. Then we'll be talking about some new trademarks that were trademarked by Nintendo of Japan. Set 5 different games, so they might be hinting at new games coming in the future. We'll be talking about that. Then we'll be going into Kimishima retiring. The president of Nintendo, Tatsumi Kimishima, retired. He announced that during the shareholders meeting. Oh, look, Jared Menak just subscribed. Cool, cool.
Oh,
so, yeah, and then after Kimishima, we talk about the change of presidency to Shuntaro Furukawa. We'll be getting into, the release schedule. We'll be getting to Pokemon. We'll be talking about a patent that came out for Pokemon. And then we'll be talking about the sales that were announced in the shareholders meeting for the software, the Nintendo games, and then we'll be talking about the news of the online coming out in May, and apparently the 3DS is going to be supported forever. And then we'll be getting to the bulk of the conversation, because most of this stuff we're going to kind of sort of run through, and then the final topic, which is going to be the big one, probably most of the primary part of this whole podcast, are the E3 plans and these ingredients that Kimishima has said that are already in place to set up Nintendo to sell 20 million Switch units this fiscal year. So this is the beginning, guys. This is the beginning of all of the E3 hype, the talk. I've done E3 videos before, I've talked before, of course I have, but now it's really ramping up. Now every week we're going to be hearing about rumors and developers and things being at E3. This is the beginning of the real E3 build-up. So this is the first podcast about that, and I think there's going to be a lot to talk about. I'm really excited about it. So, yeah, for those who are in the chat who are new, just remember, if you haven't been here for how could you remember, we try to answer questions in between topics. So, there is a chat interaction during the podcast, but we try to do it going in between. And also, one more thing I'll bring up. I believe Will from Lil Will the Deity will be here later into the discussion.
So he's not dead.
Yeah, he sent me a message on Twitter, so he should be okay.
Oh, he's alive.
Yeah.
Alive and well.
Yeah. All right, so let's get started. Let's just go. All right, so first order of business, right? Arc System Works is the developer for BlazBlue, Guilty Gear, even Dragon Ball FighterZ, and they have pledged that they will be bringing games to the Nintendo Switch. So, what does that mean exactly? That could mean maybe a Dragon Ball FighterZ port. It could mean maybe some new games as well. What do you think, Brandon?
Oh, I definitely think we'll be getting a Dragon Ball FighterZ port. Like, I don't think there's a question about that. I mean, how many people have been asking for that? Like, everyone on the Switch seems to want that game. If you're a fan of fighting games at all, it seems like that is one of the best that's come out in recent memory. So I think definitely that one will come out. As far as other games, that's very hard to say. I imagine, I mean, the Switch is just doing well. I'm kind of in this line of thinking that we're going to see a lot of ports, but also we could see a lot of new games or exclusives or games coming to Switch first in the future just because how well it's selling. Maybe we're not quite to that yet, I'm not sure, but I think in the future at least we'll start to see that. So I think it's definitely a possibility we could get something exclusive from them or timed exclusive or something like that. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I love fighting games, and, like, I would love to see some awesome fighting series come to the Switch. I mean, even Dragon Ball FighterZ, even if we get a port of that, that will make me really happy, for sure. So, I just noticed Will is in the discussion. Will, are you there and ready to go?
Yep.
Cool.
Nice.
So, we literally just got started. We just jumped into the topics. We're talking about Arc System Works pledging to bring games to the Nintendo Switch. What do you think about that?
Bringing Fighter Z? Or
Probably.
Well, hopefully, yeah.
In general.
Well, they pledge to bringing games. That could mean a fighter's port. That could mean a whole bunch of stuff.
I think it's really cool that they have the little pledge. I think those are always really cool. At least we get like confirmation that they're heavily considering the Switch.
Yeah. I mean, we have seen a lot of pledges from third parties, and we haven't gotten that much. So I think we could also consider the possibility that they don't bring that much to the Switch. So I don't know, but I kind of feel like they're the kind of company that might want to put a bunch, especially since there's a bunch of demand already for their existing games or their recent games. So I don't know. I would just like to bring up all the possibilities.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, they could be new games as well. There could be ports. I mean, it's just good to see that a developer like that is supporting the Nintendo Switch, right? I mean, and on top of that, fighting games aren't the kind of games that are, like, super... Like, yeah, fighting games are beautiful, but they're not the most graphically demanding game because they're not huge open-world games with a lot of physics going on. They're on a stage. It's limited in perspective, so they're usually the easiest kind of games to port, I think, minus, you know, indie games. So, you know, to see that Arc System Works is interested in the Switch and that they're pledging to bring Switch games, that's exciting. Absolutely. Yeah. So, let's kind of move on then. Unless, you know, you guys have any, if there are any like preferred like Arc System Works games that you guys would like to see on the Nintendo Switch, let me know in the chat, guys. But let's talk about Capcom now. So there was something that came up today actually about Capcom maybe having some Switch games at E3. And basically what came up is that, you know, if you go to like the E3 website, like the different companies, they show listings of games that they sort of could be showing, or like categories they have that, you know, they want people to sort of be checking out for. And, you know, some companies, they have like a ridiculous amount. Like Atlas has like over 110 categories. It's literally any possible category. But then Capcom's is a bit more specific, and they only have 5 categories. An action-adventure for the Nintendo Switch, which is what we're talking about. An action-adventure for PC Windows. An action-adventure for Xbox One. And then a fighting wrestling for PC Windows, and the fighting wrestling for Sony PlayStation 4. So that has led a lot of people to believe that, okay, that maybe this is only talking about 2 different games, an action-adventure game that's coming out on Switch, PC, Windows, and Xbox One, and a fighting wrestling game that's coming out PC, Windows, and PlayStation 4. I think it's possible that they could be separate games, but there's also a high likelihood that they could simply be referencing 2 different games across different platforms. What do you guys think about this?
I just find it weird that PlayStation 4 is potentially not getting a game. Like, what? I saw this and I was just like, Nani? What? I was just confused because it feels like in this day and age with the PlayStation 4 doing so well, they're just a shoo-in for like almost every game unless it's a system exclusive. They're gonna get it. So to see the PlayStation 4 potentially not get something is really weird.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I feel like the PS4 would probably get it, whatever it is, unless it's already come out on PS4, right? Or maybe they'll
That's
still
true.
announce a PS4 version, because like these listings, I don't think holds that much water in my opinion. But what do you think, Will?
Um, I don't like. I think they probably honestly forgot the PS4, or I honestly don't know what it is there. Like stuff goes on with websites all the time, but I do think whatever these are, they are. I think they hold some water. Like I think they would be pretty big, especially since they're like E3 listings. Not really
Hmm.
sure if like each of these are separate. Mm, I don't know about showing three separate games of the same genre, but I mean, I think whatever this is, it's coming to everything, and it probably is something.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it could be that, but I also think that there's 5 listings here, and it potentially is only referencing 2 different games. I feel like Capcom's gonna have way more games than this, anyways, right? So even if maybe these listings are referencing something super huge and epic, right? But they also could be mentioning something not that significant. Regardless, I think that Capcom's gonna have more than 2 games at E3. Do you guys disagree with me?
Mm, yeah, I'd imagine they'd have more than just two. It's hard to say though. I mean, they're a pretty big company. They come up with a lot of games. They're not a small studio by any means.
Right. What do you think, Will? Do you think they're gonna
Hard.
have more than just these 2 games here at E3?
It's honestly hard to say. I mean, did they show up with anything last year other than Monster Hunter World? I mean, it's
Um,
hard to say.
Hmm.
I
You
would have
might
to
be
go
right
back
about
and
that.
check, to be honest with you. I feel like the
Maybe
answer
yes.
is yes, but
I mean,
I
the
can't.
only relevant thing they had last year was Monster Hunter. That's the only thing I remember them showing.
True.
So to me personally, it wouldn't surprise me if these were the only two, because that seems to be their only representation,
Right.
anyways.
Right.
Sony is probably buying whatever they're buying whatever game.
Right. Well, maybe if they do have more, that these are only their 2 main products. That's possible. So I guess we'll see, right? Like only time will really tell. But everyone in the chat, let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think that there's gonna be more Capcom games at E3, or do you think these 2 games or whatever it is here, that's it? But maybe they're really big deals and they're really awesome. Let me know what you guys think. So let's start. Let's actually move forward here, because we have a lot to talk about tonight. So there were some rumors about Fortnite coming out on the Nintendo Switch. And they came saying basically that the Fortnite would be announced at E3, and that it would come with cross-platform play, meaning so like you could probably get with people on Xbox and PC, and they would have exclusive Nintendo content. I assume like skins and stuff like that. But then another report came out from US Gamer saying that there is no current plans from either the Fortnite developers or Nintendo saying that they had any plans for Fortnite coming to the Switch. So 2 contradictory sources here. What do you guys think?
The person who's trying to say that Fortnite is not coming to the Switch that's just it's bullshit. It has to be. There's no way that Fortnite is not coming to the Nintendo Switch. That game does not take much to run. It runs at really well on every console. It runs great on your cell phone. If they will take the time to support a device this small, actually mine's not supported, but the one is still the same size. Like they support the 6S. If you look at the 6S and you look at Fortnite, it looks like a freaking N64 game. Like it's like between N64 and GameCube level of graphics. It's that bad. Like it doesn't look good. If they're willing to support that, you don't think they're gonna support the fastest selling home console where everyone is games are just a poppin' and people are buying stuff up and like no. You slap some Nintendo stuff in there, people are gonna buy that. People will buy loot boxes or currency and stuff to get those skins. They will. They'll pay into this easy. It'd be easy money. Like there's no way the Fortnite developers are over here, especially since it runs on Unreal Engine 4. which the Switch is like perfect for. I think there's no way it's coming to Switch.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
go on, Will.
Yeah, I think unironically, it would be like actually the best version of Fortnite because they'd have they'd have the ability at least to implement touch screen controls and regular controls and possibly even motion controls. But I mean, according to the rumors, it's like multi-platform. So I guess they'd have to consider that. But I definitely agree. This is not the end of like Fortnite on Switch. Like, why would they just say, "Oh yeah, it's coming. All right, see you later." I just highly doubt it. It seems like more PR talk or like more. Don't tell them yet.
Yeah.
We heard Dragon Quest wasn't coming. We heard Rocket League wasn't coming. Especially Rocket League, they were like, "Oh no, there are no plans. There are always no plans." Like, as far as we know, as far as we're ever gonna know, there are always no plans for stuff to come to Switch. But yeah,
Right. Or it's like there's no plans for stuff to come to the Switch. A couple weeks later, it's announced, "Come to the Switch." Oh, wow,
Yeah.
look at that.
No, yeah, for sure. Of course, that would be like the official, information. Of course, that wasn't technically official because it was coming from US Gamer, but I still think the point still stands. Like, why would they have any information saying, "Oh yeah, this is definitely coming," when they want it to be a surprise at E3, right? And I mean, to your point, Brandon, everything can run it. Why wouldn't they put it on like the hottest console right now? It makes zero sense. If they can totally run it, it's totally possible. So it makes 100% sense. Like, you don't need rumors to predict that Fortnite would be coming to the Switch. Right, like this is just one of those things. It's like it's kind of obvious. So if it doesn't come to Switch, I think people will be asking why not. Right, that's going to be the bigger question if that happens. So yeah, I expect it to come to Switch, and I wouldn't be shocked to see it announced at E3. Right, like and regardless of whether this rumor is true or not, like I just think it's a likelihood regardless.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. So let me sort of anything else we have to say for Fortnite on Switch. I mean, personally, I haven't gone to the whole Fortnite craze yet. Like, I'm one of those people that when I see everyone doing something, I'm like, maybe not, right? But I probably will, at least if people are talking about if it's a good product, I'm gonna try it out on Switch.
Yeah, I played it on my PS4. I actually streamed it like a week ago. I think it's fun. It's not something I'm gonna like get hooked and just be like playing it all day. But yeah.
I also
That's on
generally,
PC.
yeah, I played it a few times. I think it's okay. Like, it's a solid game. It's not for me personally.
I only like playing with friends.
yeah, I have no friends, so I'm just kidding.
I'll play it with you.
Okay, well then maybe I'll give it a shot then. So let's move forward. But let me reference the chat before we take on the next topic. Jared, I'm glad I was able to get your name right. Welcome, buddy. Mega Man 11 at E3. That's
For
a possibility, Sav64. Yeah, that's...
Isn't that supposed to be coming out this year? So they would for sure talk about it at E3, right?
You would think, right?
Sure.
What if that's the action adventure?
Not coming to PS4.
Oof. That would be... Man, that would be a...
What if that happened?
That would be a huge L.
That would be yeah, a huge one. Wow. I don't think that's likely. I mean,
yeah.
And again,
I've heard.
What were you saying?
Actually, what was the word? I'm more wary about whatever this wrestling fighting game they have for PS4, but I guess that's not relevant. I just thought it was interesting because I don't know many wrestling Capcom IP.
Yeah. And it wouldn't be like an official like WWE or anything because they don't own that. Even though WWE sucks nowadays on every platform, especially on the Switch. But I'd be interested to see a wrestling game that doesn't actually suck because we haven't had one of those in a long time. 2K is not doing anything with that series.
So, sorry, but I just I think we should move forward because we have a lot to talk about.
No problem.
Let's get into the Monolith Soft rumor. I saw the rumor earlier this weekend. To be honest with you, like I was like, okay, this sounds like a Xenoblade game. That's pretty much what I took from it. But I'll sort of like go over the basics of it. Basically, there were some job listings. I believe they were in Japanese, and someone went ahead on. Was it Reset Era?
It was.
They went and interpreted the information, and then some reporting sites went and took that and summarized that information. And basically, what these job postings are sort of insinuating is that it's going to be a third-person action adventure with fantasy medieval elements, right? There may be some mechs involved, which is where it gets kind of weird, but basically it's gonna have like an RPG sort of like level battle growth system, so basically a Xenoblade game. But Brandon, we talked about it a little bit earlier. You said yourself it seems kind of weird. The only thing that seems weird is that there's some elements that seem sort of fantasy medieval like, but there's also the possibility of mechs as well, and those are two very different concepts. So Brandon, how about you just sort of express your opinion on this?
Yeah, I find it to be very odd that they're doing that. I'm wondering, maybe that's the theme of the game, is kind of medieval versus, future kind of stuff, kind of like Horizon Zero Dawn or some games we've been seeing. It's kind of a popular theme these days for some reason. It just kind of has been popping up a lot lately. I'm actually kind of the opinion that this is not a Xenoblade game. I think this will be a new IP, because when they mentioned, especially because it's fantasy, and the fantasy game that they mentioned was not a Xenoblade game, because the Xenoblade director actually said he was working on a separate project from that one. So I think this is actually not a Xenoblade game, but I'm interested to see what new IP they could come up with, because Monolith Soft is my favorite second-party Nintendo, studio. So they're absolutely amazing. But I'm very interested to see what they would do with this mechs versus kind of older style, because they had mechs in Xenoblade, but that was a very futuristic game. They were launching through space in giant spacecrafts and stuff. The entirety of LA was on a spacecraft flying through the universe at a point. So that's not the kind of the same thing here. Here is something very much different. So I'm very interested to see how they do that.
Yeah, I mean, like when I think about, well, first off, Monolith Soft did exist before the Xenoblade series. They did the Baten Kaido series, which is actually, since we were talking about earlier, that's a series that I could go back and play. And it's a series that was on the GameCube. Baten Kaidos 1, 2. They were an RPG, and from what I remember, they were pretty good from what I've heard. So that's probably an RPG series I should probably go back and play. Actually, anyone who's a big Xenoblade fan, if you find yourself a little lacking, or you want more, maybe either go back to the Xenogears series, right, or play Baten Kaidos. So it'll be interesting to see Monolith Soft sort of go, I don't want to say spread their wings, because they have done other stuff before, but we've been basically just seeing Xenoblade stuff for quite a while now, so I'm curious what they could do. And I do love the idea of a fantasy medieval style. I mean, Zelda, I love Zelda, I can't get enough of that, right, so I would love to see more. And I mean, even with Zelda, right, like you have like sci-fi elements sort of imbued into that, right? So maybe something similar could be happening with Monolith Soft's game, right? Where it is a fantasy medieval world, but maybe there is like an ancient technology involved, right? Like that, yeah, that's kind of like what happens in Zelda all the time, but you can do it again, it can still feel completely fresh.
Yeah, I'm always interested. Oh, sorry, were you gonna say that?
No.
Oh, okay. Alright, so I'm always interested to see what stories and different ways that they can do things in, a Monolith Soft game, because their stories are some of the best in video games, in my opinion. And they always do something different. They always put a twist on things. Some people are like, oh, it's classic anime, I can see it a million miles away. I've never really felt that way, though. I feel like they always put a good amount of twists and stuff that you don't see coming, so I'd be interested to see how they take this, even though it's a kind of a theme that has been, assuming that this is the theme of the game, it's kind of a theme that has been prevalent lately. But I'm interested in what twists they would put on it.
Yeah, I mean, from what I understand about Monolith Soft, which is I guess not that much, but like they made like the Xenogears stuff and then Nintendo Bottom, and they ever since then it's I think like their staple is like to have mechs or like some sort of machine in their game, some sort of big machine. So a lot of people aren't really that surprised.
Yeah, it's not really the mechs. I totally understand what you're saying, because like in the original Xenoblade, there were totally mechs that came and just wrecked house, and Xenoblade X there were mechs, and Xenoblade Chronicles 2 there were mechs. So I understand what you're saying, but we've never really seen the juxtaposition of fantasy, like real old medieval to mechs, which is what's interesting. But yeah, you make a very good point. Mechs themselves are something that Xenoblade does a lot. But again, I don't think this is going to be a Xenoblade game. It could be a Xenoblade game. I just think this is actually referring to their other project. But Monolith Soft in general does that. So, you know, it's definitely a fair point.
Yeah, I mean that wasn't really to counter anyone. That was just it was honestly something I saw on Twitter. Like, oh, no one's surprised it's mechs. Oh, mechs in a Monolith game. Oh, what a surprise.
Dude, like, yeah, all this news is like there's RPG mechanics, there's level up systems, there's side quests, and like you don't say. Have we seen a Monolith Soft game without these? I don't think we have. It's just like, why is this? This is not news. But yeah, I am very interested to see this title. I'm wondering if we could see it as early as 2020, perhaps, because we know like they made Xenoblade Chronicles 2 in what, like 2 years with like 30% of their team, because the rest was working on Breath of the Wild, like 2 or 3 years. So we could definitely see this like 2020, 2021, depending on when, you know, how they're working with, because they're assumedly they're making this alongside another Xenoblade game. That seems to be how the Xenoblade director spoke about it. So I mean, Monolith's a bigger studio now than they used to be. They could make 2 games at once.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I can see that.
No, yeah, for sure. They could be working on 2 different projects. I don't disagree with you at all. So I don't know what the timeline is going to be for this at all, because they do make big games. They make big games. So, like, it's hard to say, right? And I wonder, you know, I do kind of feel like Xenoblade Chronicles 2, even though I loved it, it was my favorite Japanese RPG, well, my favorite RPG period last year, right? And I love the story, but it was rushed. Right, like it came out.
It did feel a little rough.
It had some frame rate issues. There was like the handheld mode was not running well at all, right? And you know, there was a lot of little wonky things here. And loading in and out like was awkward at times. But you know, to me it felt like they could have spent 3 months polishing everything out, hashing out some of the performance stuff, and the game would have been smooth and perfect, right? Like so, I just don't know. I honestly don't know what the timeline is on this. Like I'm not in a rush because there's so many other Nintendo games to play, right? But I guess we'll see. I think I wouldn't be shocked to hear something about it next year, right? Something, but 2020 I think is the safest bet before we like see the next like, you know, Monolith Soft game for sure. Yeah.
Except maybe a Xenoblade Chronicles export. I think we could see that next year.
Yeah. I mean, the artwork looks great for this concept. Like it looks fantastic. Sure. With the girl and the dragon and the cat, it all.
What if you could ride dragons? Like, oh my God, ride dragons! Like instead of mechs, it's dragons, right? And like the dragons take the mold of the mechs. Maybe they use sort of the mechanics of the mechs that they had in Xenoblade X and transition that into just sort of dragons, right? Like that would be super cool. And it would kind of make sense. It would fit thematically, at least, right? That would be awesome. And yeah, I would be super down for that. Actually, the original concept art for Xenoblade X was completely different. It looked nothing like Xenoblade X at all. It was like
better than Xenoblade
super
X.
fantasy-like. Like there was a giant like golden castle that was
floating in the sky
almost floating in the sky. Like it was like a giant mountain like platform, but the entire mountain was carved out, so just like a small little pillar of rock, and it was basically this super giant golden city almost floating in the sky, right? Like that, it just looks super epic. And like imagine like that kind of style with dragons and, you know, ruins and then hopefully towns, right? Like it would be I would love that. I would eat it right up. So hopefully we see that in a year or two, and that'd be really awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's move forward because we got a lot to talk about. Let's see what's going on in the chat here. Yeah, I think I saw that we had an issue with Ryan. So, you know, don't talk about like other people putting their contact information and asking about if they're promiscuous. Like that's just not cool. You know, if you don't do that, you're good. So, but yeah, What are people saying in the chat? Hey, Brandon Wright. Do we think Fortnite is coming to Switch? We talked about it earlier. I think it's gonna happen eventually, whether the rumors are true or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then let's
Someone
move.
said something really good though.
What?
Do you guys think Spyro Trilov will get announced for Switch at E3?
The trilogy, yeah.
Oh,
I think so.
I don't know. I'm not gonna. I feel like it should have been announced already. I don't know why it hasn't. I think it's eventually gonna come. It just I don't know if E3 is the time for it.
E3, not E3. I do think slightly after E3.
I think it could. I was under the impression it would probably come at E3, so I don't know why they haven't announced it already. I'm wondering if it's just going to come a little later, or maybe Nintendo wanted to announce an amiibo alongside it. They want to do it at E3 for some reason. Who knows? Nintendo can do crazy stuff sometimes, and you're like, that doesn't make sense, but okay.
Makes sense in like the grander scheme of things. They have a way of like seeing the future for like, I don't know why.
Well, yeah, I think historically speaking, Nintendo's always done things in the weirdest way, right?
It's just like, why would you spread out like one game per month? Like, why would you do that? And then like you just see news is like the Switch is outpacing the PS4. I'm like, oh, I see.
Yeah,
I see now.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy, but at the same time, like I remember the Wii U era, I was always believing, hey, Nintendo's gonna figure this out. Nintendo's gonna figure this out, and
oh, dude, me too.
It just
I was like,
wasn't the time. Just wasn't the time.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not like Nintendo's perfect, right?
I paid $300 for this console. I want it to have like any good games, please. Any games worth owning a $300 console.
So let's move forward. All right. So the trademarks. Okay, there were various trademarks made in Japan, and if I remember correctly, they are Paper Mario, Mario Tennis, Mario Party, Punch Out, and I'm like literally remembering this from the top of my head. One more. What is it? Come on, you can do it. Dr. Mario. Dr. Mario.
Gotcha.
So those are the 5 games that got trademarked recently in Japan by Nintendo. What do you guys think? Do these trademarks mean anything? Are these, suggestions that these games are coming out really soon? For the record, Mario Tennis is already slated to launch in June, I believe. So that one, you can write that one off because that one's coming. But Mario Party hasn't been announced yet. Dr. Mario hasn't been announced yet. That could just be an eShop game. Punch Out. We haven't heard about Punch Out in a while, right? I kind of felt like ARMS is sort of like very similar to Punch Out, but not quite the same. What do you guys think?
A lot of people have been saying, it's just new games. We're going to get new Punch Out and a new Dr. Mario and a new Paper Mario. But I literally just thought of this. What if this is just for Virtual Console? What if this is for Virtual Console? And they're bringing those games to Virtual Console?
Yeah. Yeah, and there would be no, like, that would be weird if since they trademarked Mario Tennis and like, oh wait, never mind. But still, we are pretty close to the game coming out, so that would be weird. So yeah, I can see what you mean.
Well, I mean, so sometimes trademarks mean something, right? Like we think they mean something, right? It could be a coincidence, but like for example, Smash Bros. Was trademarked last year, and now it came out, right? Like, it hasn't come out, but it's been announced. But at the same time, there have been trademarks made for other games in the past. Like, I remember years ago, there was a trademark made for Wave Race. There was a trademark made for Eternal Darkness, and we haven't heard anything. It's been years. So, I think it's hit or miss. It depends. But, maybe there were plans to bring out those games, or maybe they were in the planning stages, so they trademarked them to keep that property safe, and then they just didn't materialize, but there was something in the works. I think, if something's trademarked, I do think that increases the hope. But I wouldn't say if I'm 100% sure it means that it is coming, right? But I think Paper Mario's coming eventually no matter what, right? Like, I don't need a trademark to believe that Paper Mario's coming no matter what, sooner or later. And the same thing with Mario Party. That's coming no matter what, sooner or later. The Mario Tennis is already announced. Dr. Mario has had a few, like, remakes over the years, so that's also something that wouldn't entirely shock me. Punch Out, we didn't get anything on for Wii U, right? And we just got ARMS, which is kind of like a boxing game, right? So to see Punch-Out would be a bit of a surprise, but at the same time, it is a pretty good Nintendo IP, and the Punch-Out on Wii was actually really good. So I would love to see a Punch-Out on the Switch, and I think considering the Joy-Con controllers, like what you could do with that, right? Like you could have a legitimate boxing game that far surpasses any previous boxing game. So that's really exciting to me if they do that. I love the possibilities of it. But what are your guys' sort of thoughts on all of this?
I mean, I doubt that they would hesitate with Punch. Those are two completely different audiences. Like Punch Out is clearly aimed towards that's a more hardcore Nintendo property, whereas ARMS is clearly like a party franchise. So yeah, I guess that was like my thoughts on that. I mean, but other than that, nevertheless, I do think that these mean something since they're relevant. Unlike wait, whatever. See, I can't even say the name.
Blasphemy.
Nevertheless, these are coming. I guess you said it. These are coming either way. So at any rate, they do mean something in that sense. Nintendo is paying attention to them. They still want to keep them safe. If they didn't care, they wouldn't acknowledge they exist.
Right.
So they wouldn't like announce something then not acknowledge they exist. But yeah, I mean, as far as if they exist, I don't know about them coming this year. That's a lot of games. That's a lot of like, we just hit you with all these surprises and they're all coming this year. But I do think that they exist to like some extent. Like it means that they are looking at it.
I'm just wondering why trademark all of these at the same time. I find that odd that because usually you hear about trademarks and they're kind of spaced out. This is like a bunch of different Mario franchises trademarked at the same time.
Right.
What if it's just a bundle? It's not. That's just kind of like a random thought.
Yeah. I thought about that too, and then I was just like, these games don't make any sense together.
Right.
It could just be that, like, if they did it in mass, maybe we were just mass protecting certain series that they may or may not be working on. Like, oh, let's just protect these just in case. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's something that's
I just hope we get an actually good Paper Mario. Because Color Splash is...
No, to Andre's point, I said Mario Tennis. They got a game. That game's coming like this month?
June.
Yeah.
I doubt that all of these wouldn't be what they just aren't working on, or they just put to the side for safekeeping.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, Color Splash was okay. But we need 1,000-Year Door too. It doesn't have to be 1,000-Year Door.
It could be 2,000-Year Door.
2,000-Year Door. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I want. But no, like just give me actual like RPG leveling up mechanics and partners and like characters that are not just a bunch of toads. Please, thank you.
Right, and an actual Paper Mario game that has like a couple of years of development time since something was rushed. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, considering that Paper Mario Color Splash had a very low budget and it was rushed and it was for the Wii U, I think it did pretty good. But imagine what they could do if they took their time with it. Yeah. So, I mean, they may even use that Paper Mario Color Splash engine, right? Like, maybe, like,
nice.
Just sort of improve it. Like, exactly, it's a beautiful game. So, I feel like Paper Mario is also a good franchise to sort of use the Mario, branding, right, to get out a good game in between, like, major Mario releases, right? Like, I'm pretty sure we're going to get... I think we're going to get another 3D Mario game on the Switch. I don't know if we ever talked about that. Like, we don't always get 2 main 3D Mario games on a Nintendo system, but I think this is one of those systems that's going to have 2, kind of like the Wii. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Paper Mario, and I understand Paper Mario is an RPG, right? It's a completely different gameplay, but to use the Mario branding, maybe that could come out in between Mario Odyssey. Maybe it could be a 2018 or 19 title before we get that next big Mario game, say by 2020. That's just my own personal thoughts on the matter.
I agree. Like this, like Odyssey Aces is not the last time we're gonna see Mario. That's for sure.
I don't think Paper Mario would come out this year. I think it'd be next year.
Right. I think this year's kind of seeming stacked as it is. Well, and we're gonna get into that in a minute. Actually, it's kind of almost a good segue. Do I have any final thoughts on these trademarks? Well, I want to sort of reference the chat and then move forward.
No, I just hope we get a good Paper Mario. That's all I hope comes out of this.
I Yeah, noted. I'm right there with you. So, hey, DK Smash. Hey, I saw you, but I don't think I said hi. How you doing? So, Sawas is saying, what if we got like a Wave Race 64 remastered for Switch? I don't know if people realize how awesome Wave Race is. Like, I talk about it to different people, and people are like, okay, Wave Race is really cool. Like, it is an epic racing series. It, if there's water physics, and like, I would love to see a Wave Race game. And if the simple thing to do is simply remaster Wave Race 64, I am so down for that.
Why not the GameCube one though? Why the 64?
Because it'd be a bigger jump and it would look cooler.
But if it's that would be a remake at that point, not a remaster.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah. I wouldn't mind either. Actually, I never played Blue Storm on the GameCube. So, that's another game I could go back and play. I need to get a GameCube. I should vlog one day of me finding a GameCube in some retro store, buying it, getting it all set up, and then just start streaming like F-Zero, Blue Storm, Luigi's Mansion, like all these Thousand Year Door, buying Kaidos 1 and 2. Like, there are so many GameCube games I could go back and play. I would love to.
Oh yeah, Snowman makes a good point. He said the Punch-Out trademark could be for the Arcade Archives game.
Yep. Oh, that's actually, yeah, it's a great point.
Kind of like
yeah.
Virtual Console. It's like Virtual Console before I think their actual Virtual Console is going to come out.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that's a possibility. So, I mean, that's the thing. There are so many different possibilities, so it's kind of hard to say what it is for sure. But that definitely makes a lot of sense. So, then we're ready to move on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now we're starting to get into the meat of the topics here. All right, so let's start talking about Nintendo's shareholders meeting that they held this week. A lot of things happened. Not what we wanted per se, but still lots of crazy stuff. So, one, President Toshimi Kimishima is retiring. He is stepping down, and his successor will be Shuntaro Furukawa. What are your guys' initial reactions from just hearing that President Kimishima is retiring?
I forgot at all that he said he was intern kind of president, like temporary president. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, he did say he was only going to be here for like a tiny bit of time. I was like, I'm so used to having him as the president. My initial reaction legit was, dang it, now I'm going to have to memorize another Japanese name that I cannot pronounce.
Shuntaro Furukawa is, I believe, how it would be pronounced with my butchered English-American accent. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was like legit reaction, my initial reaction. Before learning anything about him, I was just like, oh, dang it. I'm going to have to memorize another name. And I'm going to pronounce it wrong. People are going to hate on me in the chat.
How about you, Will?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the same thing as Brandon. It's like, so many, it's like, he just steps in so, like, suddenly, it's like, yep, another name, pretty much the same thing. What? I mean, to be honest, I don't really care. I mean, I'm not really shaken by it. I mean, I do credit Mr. Kimishima for a lot of the Switch's success, but it was sort of following like a strict, not a strict guideline, but a guideline that your standard president would follow. So he's kind of like a regular old Boy Scout president, like literally anything to do what he did. So I mean, especially if that person has been is his friend or whatever these guys are to each other. Like I do think, and especially this one might have a little more personality,
right.
And maybe he'll respond better to memes and stuff like that. So,
actually, that's the thing, right? So Shuntaro Furukawa actually reminds me a lot of Iwata, in the sense that, well, one, he's younger, right? Like, that's the thing. He's young, so he could be a long-term president, right? He also speaks English fluently, which could have some serious implications. One, yeah, he could communicate with Western companies, developers, and, investors, and all of that good stuff. But also, he could be taking the Nintendo Direct limelight. He could become the next host for Nintendo Directs, especially if he speaks English fluently. Imagine how that'll work. Like, Iwata spoke English during the Nintendo Directs, but of course his English was very limited. But now, Furukawa could potentially take that role. Will he? I mean, I've never seen him in that sort of environment, so we'll have to sort of wait and see, right? But that's a possibility. And he is a gamer. Like, he grew up on the NES. Like, he's a gamer. He's not a designer like Iwata. He's a gamer, and he's a businessman, which is kind of why I think Kimishima liked him, because Furukawa comes from a marketing business perspective like Kimishima, and I think in that way he could serve, you know, be a great president, because he's going to be able to treat Nintendo responsibly from the financial perspective, right? He's going to be able to communicate with a lot more people because of his strength with English, so that he could help, you know, in terms of communicating with other companies, working together. But also, he is a Nintendo fan, so it's not like he doesn't get it, right? It's not like he's just some rich old man who doesn't care about video games that's just saying, do this to make us more money, do this to make more money. He understands what gamers want, I think. So, you know, I think we're kind of getting the best of both worlds with Shuntaro Furukawa, and I think people are going to be really pleased with what we see with him in the future.
Yeah. I've heard some people who are like, oh, what, Tatsumi Kimishima, look at the man. He's over here all like, you know, riding the ship of Nintendo and doing all these amazing things. And this dude, like, looks like he'll kill you if you don't get a game out on his system. He's like the Yakuza president, I've heard some people refer to him as. And some people are like, it's going to be this huge change. And I'm so glad that Tatsumi Kimishima was in here instead of Iwata and stuff like this. And he's just like, well, actually, no. All he did was go, hey, Iwata, this is what you wanted to do? Okay, I'll do it. And then he did it. Like, I think people give him too much credit sometimes and don't give enough credit to Iwata, because Iwata was the one riding the ship in the first place. He was the one who had the idea for all this stuff.
Yeah, he set up the NX, which is the Switch.
He kind of just had like Kimishima was sort of like autopilot. He was like, well, this is what he did. These were his plans. Just follow him, man. And that's kind of what it. I mean,
right. The thing that I think Kimishima may have had his own influence on would be maybe how the Switch was marketed, right? Maybe he played a role in that. But in terms of the Switch itself, in terms of the plans made with Universal Studios to build the parks, the idea to start working on movies in the future, to, you know, expand to mobile gaming, all these different things, that was all a part of like Iwata's final efforts, right? So everything that we're enjoying now is basically Iwata's legacy, and Kimishima basically was just like, I'm not gonna screw this up, I'm just gonna make sure it's executed properly, right? And that's what happened. He didn't do bad, right? He executed it properly, but I think Shuntaro Furukawa could add a different spin to things, which is why some people might be worried, because he may lead to Nintendo changing a little bit, but it could be changing for the better. So, you know, I'm not concerned. I think he understands the legacy of Nintendo, same way Kimishima did, and the marketing business perspective, same way Kimishima did, but he also is going to be able to add something to that as well. What will that be exactly? Sort of, I guess we'll see in the future.
I'm still going to be wary about the changes he potentially brings to Nintendo, because it would be like an entirely different person. But I mean, I doubt as far as like who is the poster boy of the directs. I don't think they'd ditch Koizumi. I'm not sure. I mean,
you got a promotion,
right? Really cool. Furukawa seems like, I mean, if he is good at English, that is a really good a good thing, because I don't think Koizumi speaks any bit of English at all. So I'm not sure, but I would still rather Koizumi though.
Yeah, he has swag.
He does.
He has swag. Yeah, he got a promotion. Like all of like the Nintendo like main executives that I don't remember their names, but they all got promotions. The one that we hear about in the different like news, like they all got some sort of promotion. So you know, the only person that's stepping down is Kimishima, and he's in his late 70s. So it's probably a good time to retire.
He knew he'd be stepping down anyways.
Right, yeah.
And it's not like he's getting fired or quitting because he doesn't have a choice. He's got money and he's just gonna take a break.
Yeah, no, this is his time. Yeah, this is part of his plan. Like he's like, look, I'm going to branch the gap between the Iwata and the next president, and you know it's gonna take a year or two, and then I'm gonna lay it all down and call it a career, and that's what he's doing. So yeah, and I think I saw in the chat, I'm not sure who asked. But yes, Shuntaro Furukawa is 46, And Josh, I think you're asking, isn't the new president of Nintendo going to take over in June from the Pokemon Company? He works on the board of directors for Pokemon Company as well, and he is going to be taking over in June. Yeah, so Kimishima technically is still working, right? He's gonna step down in June, and I think he's gonna sort of mentor. He's gonna mentor Furukawa for a bit, right? But he is stepping down, and Furukawa will be officially the president in June. Yeah, which is right in time for E3, by the way. I think that timing is very interesting. I think think about it. He's stepping in as president in June, right? He speaks English fluently. Maybe he will be the face of this video presentation we're going to see at E3. I think that's a possibility. It just kind of seems to fit too well, in my opinion.
I doubt it.
I think he could be for like part of it, maybe not all of it. Like I don't think he'll be talking the entire time.
No,
but he might do something or introduce himself in general.
Yeah.
I mean, most presentations have
introduction.
Yeah, that could happen. I mean, like, but most presentations usually incorporate different people. Like Reggie's in it for pieces. You know, Wada's been in it for pieces. Like, you know, so we may still see Koizumi, right? And we may see Reggie, right? And we may see Furukawa. We may see
we're
Bill.
Seeing Reggie. We always see Reggie.
Yeah. I love Bill as well. Bill's always good to have.
Bill is lame. So lame.
You think Bill is lame? Bill is awesome by being lame.
He's the lamest one.
That's what he does.
It just is. I'm a hater. He's lame.
But my boy Reggie, man, he's the best.
Right.
Everyone hates on Reggie.
Doesn't get better than Reggie.
I want Reggie to ride it on a mechanical horse and be like, "Here's the next Metroid Prime 4." Like,
I mean, he totally that time when he was like, "Give us Mother 3," and he just like shot him in the face with a fireball. Like this, you can't get better than that.
It's pretty epic.
Yeah, he just killed him on the spot.
Right, just boom, murdered. But I'm wondering if this will change some of the parts that Nintendo haven't been doing very well lately. Is kind of their online, and with the Switch, they haven't really been focusing on having like things like Netflix or they have Hulu on there, but they like just got that on a couple of months ago. They don't have Netflix or Crunchyroll or anything. I'm wondering if this new president will be more open to having new modern features like voice chat and all this like a web browser and different things like that. Or Kimishima may have been like, "Oh, that's bullshit. We don't need that. That's not gonna that's not gonna get us any money. Why do we need that?"
True. And I guess Kimishima's or rather Iwata's like sort of goal was like, well, it's not really, and that was their justification. For the record, I think is bullshit. But they said it's a game system, not a whatever system. Like it's a game system first. But like we're a year in, we kind of need more than games.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm with you guys there as well. So, do we have any more sort of qualms or interesting notes to make about the changing of presidents with Nintendo before we move forward?
No, I think it's probably going to be a good fit, but we'll just have to wait and see. It's just kind of a time will tell thing. Yeah. Hard to know.
Yeah, no, I see that. Being wary, I guess, is important. I'm not sure how much power we have over that though, but we'll see what happens. But I'm not too worried. I mean, like Nintendo, if you think about it, regardless of president, Nintendo's always been good, right? So it's I don't think we should be worried. Kimishima picked him for the record, right? Like people who are on the side of Kimishima is sort of mentoring this guy, like he believes in this guy, right? So if you're a big Kimishima fan, Kimishima is a big fan of Furukawa. So just keep that in mind,
Yeah.
Now, let's kind of start delving deeper into, the information that we got from everything, right? Let's talk about the dates, because I want to get into Pokemon, and Pokemon sort of the thing we were sort of waiting for the shareholders meeting to get more insight on, right? Now, I'm going to kind of I put up the image here on the actual podcast, and, this is the dates that we got, right? It shows that Fire Emblem is still 2018, it shows that Yoshi's still 2018, Project Octopath Traveler is still 2018. Bayonetta 3 is to be announced. Metroid Prime 4 is to be announced. I realized I just pulled up a wrong image, but Smash Brothers is also on the list. This is the wrong one, it's an older one, but it's also slated for 2018. And then Pokemon for the Nintendo Switch is still slated for 2018 or later, right? It's still as 2018 or later. So then, we're already at the end of April, and Nintendo still has it listed as 2018 or later. What do you guys think of that? Does that mean anything to you guys, or what are your sort of interpretations from that?
It's kind of a double-edged sword at this point, because when you think about it, like it says it's 2018 or later. You think if, on one hand, you think if they knew it was going to be 2018, they'd take off the or later part. But on the other hand, if they knew that wasn't going to be 2018, you think they would move it to be announced. So it's kind of this double-edged sword where I don't know what it's supposed to mean, but I think they're probably, as we've said many times, they're definitely aiming to get it on 2018. I don't know if this confirms or denies if they're actually going to make it though.
Yeah. Well, are you right there with Brandon, or do you have a slightly different opinion?
I'd rather you go before me.
Oh, well, you know, I sort of talked about it in the video I put out yesterday, guys, but I think that this, to me, suggests that Nintendo is trying to get it out by the end of the fiscal year, right? So that means latest March 2019. That's what Nintendo seems to see, or else they wouldn't put 2018 or later, in my opinion, right? So I think the window for Pokemon Switch, based on what we've seen, is November 2018 to March 2019. Like, that's the window for Pokemon Switch. Based off the information we have. We may get more information in the future that may change my opinion on that, right? But that's where it seems to be looking. I hope it's November 2018, obviously, because I want to play Pokemon Switch, but I also want it to be good. So if it needs more time, it needs more time. And heck, I wouldn't mind if we have to wait until 2019. Honestly, holiday 2019, if it means it's going to be the best Pokemon game ever, right? But if they think it's going to be ready by holiday 2018, you know, then I'm excited for that. But based off the information, I think at least by March 2019.
Well, I think it definitely, because even Nintendo can't really say, and I think they would be open about it if they were able to get it out this year, since Pokemon is that core ingredient that they would need. Wink wink nudge nudge, I guess. But if they knew it was coming this year, I think they would list it for this year. So with that being said, I have absolutely zero hope for Bayonetta 3 or Metroid Prime 4.
My thoughts exactly.
If you can barely say if Pokemon is coming or not, I highly doubt that you can say anything for those two games. That's just my thoughts on that.
Yeah, my hope for Metroid coming out this year is like maybe 5 to 10%.
Yeah, it's like, as a fan that doesn't hear any inside information at all, I doubt it.
Yeah.
As a Nintendo fanboy, I think that's the only part of me that thinks that's the 5 to 10% is the Nintendo fanboy inside of me saying it could happen.
Well,
Nintendo's God.
You know, I'm like, you know, if you guys have been following me for a while, I've been one of those few people that says that I think Metroid could come this year. Could. Not that it will, but that it could, right? And I will admit that at this point, I feel like the chances have reduced a bit. However, I will also say the Metroid Prime 4 has been being teased by Nintendo executives since 2015. And historically speaking, Metroid Prime games take 2 to 3 years to be made. So, if they were teasing it since 2015 and they started making it around 2015, 2016, holiday 2018 is not impossible. But I do have to say that at this point, I feel less confident about it making out this year. When I saw it last year, I was like, oh, I think there's a pretty good chance. Now, I feel like it's a little less likely. But, you know, when it comes, it comes. You know, like, ultimately, what I care most about is the games are good. As long as Nintendo has games for me to play, and all the games are, then I don't mind. I would prefer it if they wait and for the games to be to be, you know, as good as they can be. And I think the way Nintendo has things planned out and hashed out, that we're going to be getting games regardless, right? We already know we're getting Yoshi, Fire Emblem, and Smash Brothers already. Like, those are all confirmed. And those are all coming out somewhere between, I guess, September and December, right? So that's September, October, no, November, December. Yes, that's 4 months, right? So maybe it could fit in August. So maybe it's like a 5-month window where we know those 3 games are going to fit in somewhere, right? And I think Pokemon could hit there, and there could be another game or two that could be announced. And it is still possible that Bayonetta 3 or Metroid Prime 4 could come out this year, but it's not likely, in my opinion, at this point.
As far as what people tease goes, that kind of only confirms that it's in development. That kind of that's kind of obvious. Like, I just sincerely doubt. Like, I would put it kind of where Brandon is putting it, maybe a 5 or 10%, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you gotta take into account something that may or may not affect it is those games took 2-3 years to make back. You know, in the GameCube days when there's a lot less. Games were a lot less graphically demanding back then, so it may not be. They may have a bigger team, or they may just know how to do development faster these days than they used to. But it may be that it takes longer to make a Metroid Prime game in this day and age. With graphics being so much better.
Also true. There's so many different variables here, because it could be the team. It depends on what engine they're using. We do have information that suggests it could be Unreal Engine 4, right, which would speed up that process, but that's not confirmed. So we'll see, right? I mean, E3 is only a month away, right? So we'll find out soon enough.
It's like 42 days or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna be getting back into a lot of this conversation, but I want to move into a bit more of the Pokemon stuff, right? So.
Okay.
If the rumors are to be true, though, I think Brandon has a point. I think it would be like a lot more ambitious this time around. I mean, I don't think they really have a choice. It doesn't work the other way. So yeah.
Yeah. It just I do agree. If they want to really, really sell better, and maybe the multiplayer rumors, just to kind of end off this topic, because I know you want to move on to Pokemon, but the multiplayer rumors, that could take longer if they want to make multiplayer a big thing and the single player. So I definitely agree with you there, Will.
Yeah, I mean, those are valid points. So let's move. Let's just move forward, because we talk about this like almost every week. But yeah, they're valid points for sure. So let's. I'm putting up this patent.
We talk about every week.
Pokemon, more Pokemon stuff. Yeah, exactly. So here we have this patent, right? And I'll just kind of put it up here. So this is just one of the images that came in this patent, and basically, it's a patent talking about this technology of getting cards and scanning them in through NFC onto a screen. Basically, what this is talking about is amiibo cards for Pokemon. That's basically what it's talking about. And I'm not the only person who's talking about. Brandon, I know you brought it up as well. Like, we talked about the idea that maybe trading cards, like Pokemon trading cards, like the very popular trading card game, the Pokemon trading card game, maybe they could create a trading card line that has amiibo functionality, right? Like, rather than creating actual plastic figurines for all the Pokemon, maybe they could create cards, and maybe these cards could have functionality with Pokemon Switch. And that could, you can say on your card, you can get maybe a special event Pokemon, like a mystery sort of gift Pokemon. If you ever played a Pokemon game before, occasionally there are events where you can get special Pokemon with special abilities and powers, or, they're rare in some way or another. Maybe these cards could offer up stuff like that, and also give you daily items as well, because that's what a lot of amiibos do anyways. So I think that's a possibility. I think that we see this patent, it may mean that, it shows that they're at least playing around with that idea, and I think it's an idea that fits really well.
I sort of remember way back when we were talking about Pokemon, and I was like, and people were like, we're gonna have Pokemon amiibos, and I was like, no, we're gonna have Pokemon amiibo cards. And people were like, you're crazy. There's like 800 plus billion, million, trillion Pokemon. There's no way they're gonna do Pokemon cards. And I was like, there's also like, they have a whole bunch of Animal Crossing, just like over 100 or 200 Animal Crossing cards that they have. It's not out of the question that they could do at least the 151. And people are like, no, you're absolutely insane. Nintendo would never do this. And I was just like, I'm over here just like, yeah, it's patent for amiibo cards for Pokemon. Gotcha. Okay. I see how it is.
That doesn't make sense. What the other person said, like, why would they think Nintendo would waste money on like a plastic amiibo figurine of every single Pokemon before they
Yeah,
waste
I
like,
think
or
they
before
wanted.
they just
They were thinking like just the starters or something.
oh,
Yeah, I mean they could have hard amiibo figurines for like maybe the legendaries and the starters, right? Which is just 5 or 6 Pokemon, which is fine. Like they could do that, but then everything else has to be cards. I think that makes the most sense. And if you think about it, that would make them an obscene amount of money, right? Because all of a sudden you're creating these rare collectible cards that have functionality in games. Like that is, it just, and cards are way cheaper to make. Like that's just a money maker, and that's why Nintendo's pressuring Pokemon Company like crazy to get Pokemon out on Switch this year. Because if it happens, there's like they're gonna sell so well, they're gonna perform so well. The amount of money there is gonna be crazy. And getting amiibo cards packaged in with that is just going to add a whole other facet of money making here. But at the same time, amiibo cards would be really cool for the game. Like, that's going to be cool. Like, it's not going to... I might go back to playing Pokemon cards just to get more Pokemon and get more functionality into my games. Like, that's going to be awesome. I would love... As a Pokemon fan, I think that's actually really cool.
Yeah. Hey, I always thought they looked cool. I was like, back in the day, like I never had Pokemon cards, but I knew people who did, and I was like, man, those cards look cool. And they were like, oh yeah, and we have this whole game, and they can play. And I was just like, man, that's sick. I want some of these cards. So I might actually get some of these. I need to get the Animal Crossing ones first, though. So I like Animal Crossing. I wonder if those will work for Animal Crossing the Switch. Just an idea, just to bring that up.
Wait, you wanted to bring something up?
No. I was just mentioning that I wanted to buy the Animal Crossing cards.
Sorry.
And I was
misheard you. I misheard you.
Yeah. I was just like, oh, I want to buy those cards as well. And I was like, oh, I wonder if those will work for Animal Crossing the Switch. So, yeah. But I don't think this is... I think this is pretty much happening. I don't see why they wouldn't. As you said, it would make them a bunch of money. And if they actually... People are saying if they actually incorporate this into the TGS, I think is what they call it. It would, like, people would buy those up. They just sell like hotcakes.
Yeah, I think we're talking about the GTS, the Global Trade Center. It doesn't matter. They always introduce like a different like trading mechanic every Pokemon game. Yeah, there could be something there. There's just a lot of money making potential here. But I want to sort of extend to one more topic for Pokemon here, because there's a lot of money to be made, obviously, as we're talking about. But Nintendo, there are rumors that have been circulating. Apparently, I forget from which country, but there is a Nintendo editor, I forget from which country, that has put out some information about the relationship between Nintendo and Pokemon Company and what's going on with this Pokemon Switch game. And basically, the rumor is that Nintendo believes that the game's coming out in 2018, but Pokemon and Game Freak are like, oh, well, maybe, but we kind of want to do 2019 because we want this game to be really good. And Nintendo's like, no, you guys are going to do 2018 because money, right? Like, that is basically the rumor. And, yeah, so, you know, that kind of makes me a little worried here. So if it does come out this year, does that mean it won't be as good, right? Or, you know, or maybe we're going to have to wait. It's like, it's kind of like, oh, this kind of maybe poison on both directions here. But it also could work out either way as well. There's another part to the rumor. Basically, I'm paraphrasing here because I'm just kind of pulling from the back of my head, that he was saying that, what was it? I'm trying to think how I should phrase this exactly. He didn't want to like say exactly what he knew, right? Obviously, take this with a grain of salt, guys, because you know it could still be complete garbage, but it might be true. Is that he was saying that it's not a new generation. It's not Generation 8, but at the same time, it's not a Diamond Pearl remake either. So basically, if it's not Generation 8 and if it's not Diamond Pearl remake, he is insinuating, people have taken that he's insinuating that he's referring to something along the lines of a Kanto reboot, which has been rumored in the past, which makes sense in a way, because if you're going to if the Switch is going to have a whole new Pokemon audience, or bring in a lot of new gamers, a lot of, you know, old, like, Gen 1ers, right, to play Pokemon again, having it centered in Kanto, you know, might work out. That strategy might work out. We've talked about this before. I know a lot of people are like, oh, but we've been in Kanto many times before. Yeah, but I do want to stress, though, that if you think about it, Hyrule, right? Zelda games, like almost every single Zelda game is in a Hyrule, but the Hyrule feels completely different. I think if this was some sort of Kanto reboot, that it would be kind of like on the whole other Zelda game. Just because it's set in Hyrule doesn't mean it doesn't feel like an entirely new game. So those are my thoughts on that. What do you guys think?
You mentioned you actually went over a bunch of things. I'm trying to figure out which one I should go for.
You know what?
First.
I'm sorry, I did. I went on a huge rant there. I'm sorry.
So I'll go with in order of when you brought it up. So as far as whether Nintendo would try to rush the Pokemon game for money, it doesn't seem like something they've been doing too much. I mean,
yeah, I know it's weird, right?
It seems kind of contradictory. At the same time, Xenoblade felt a little bit rushed, but I felt like that was because Breath of the Wild happened, and that just took over the universe, and like all of their teams were working on that. So I feel like that's a little bit of a different thing because this is the entirety of the Pokemon team at their disposal. So I just don't feel like Nintendo would be over here like, get out a crappy Pokemon game because it sells. Like, that doesn't seem like something Nintendo really does these days. But maybe not. Maybe Kimishima's over here, businessman that he is just like, I see Pokemon, I see a lot of money. Get it out 2018. We're gonna ship 20 million units. So I think it's possible that that's true, but I feel like overall Nintendo isn't really too big on rushing games. That just doesn't seem part of their big overarching philosophy.
What do you think, Will? Do you think that there's some truth to Nintendo pressuring Pokemon to get it out in 2018, or what do you think's going on?
No. I mean, what is this, like the millionth, 2 millionth Pokemon rumor?
Yeah.
Let's get this over with. Let's see. As far as Nintendo pressuring Nintendo, the corporation, yeah, that it does sound more believable that way. But as far as what we know, they wouldn't really mind. And you brought this up earlier, Andres, that if it came out March 3rd, 2019. So I mean, I doubt his words there. As far as it being like a reboot or remake or whatever. We've also heard rumors of it being Gen 8. So, I mean, I just want to wait till E3, honestly, for the most part. But if I were to say if I believe him or not, I'd have to say no.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to think, especially based off the history of Nintendo and the way they've done things, I would like to think that maybe there is some pressure for Nintendo to get Game Freak to get the game out by 2018, but I don't think they would push them to the point where, like, hey, if this game is not going to be as good as it could be. Maybe they're just simply trying to offer them up the resources and seeing what they can do to get it out by the end of the year, if possible. But if it's like, push comes to shove, that if they can't really, get it out in the form that they want it by the end of the year, then they'll be like, okay, fine, we understand, get it out when you can. If this rumor is true, that's the way I would see it. I don't think Nintendo would force the game to come out this year if it's not ready. That's just not the way they've operated. It just isn't. From what I've seen, you don't always know what happens behind closed doors. So,
right.
Yeah, and again, you're also right. Well, there's just been so many rumors. It could be Gen 8, it could be a kind of reboot, it could be something else. Who knows, right? Like, at this point, we don't know. But I mean, my gut feeling is that it could. This idea of a character reboot makes a lot of sense to me, but it's not going to feel like a remake at all. It's going to feel like an entirely new game, just remaking a whole new region. That's if I had to bank on anything, right? But Gen 8's also like just as likely, so we'll see what happens.
Right. I really hope that this, it's almost May. I think tomorrow or the next day is May. So I really hope that Pokemon Company comes down. They're just like, here's what Pokemon is. Finally. I'm wondering if they're just like, okay, let's just drill and pipe as much as we can. All these rumors, we're just keeping Pokemon in the press. It's just always there. So it's just like everyone's talking about it every single week.
Right, and Nintendo's not doing anything. They're not doing anything. They're just not talking about it.
Sometimes that's like the best strategy.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people think that's what they're doing with Smash. Like part of the speculation on if it's a Wii U port, which I think is really stupid, or not a Wii U port. I think that sort of keeps the game alive in a twisted way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, if they went out and confirmed it, there would be little to no talk. There would be your standard theory. Okay, guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Goku is coming. Like, yeah.
I love that voice. Shrek is coming to smash.
It's not ogre until I say it's ogre.
And let's use that point to move away from Pokemon. And I actually think we're gonna get into this other talk about sales and stuff, but I think it's obvious that Smash Bros is gonna be the theme of E3. I mean, like, there's a tournament for it. It's gonna be featured at the Treehouse, and it's gonna be featured at the presentation. It's gonna be featured all 3 different like ways Nintendo's gonna have E3 coverage. And like literally, if you see the image, I'm gonna pull it up right now. I have it somewhere. If you look at the image, look at this image, guys. I have it on screen. Come on. Well, you can see it already. There's a whole Smash logo. There is a whole Smash logo right there. Like this is it's Smash is the theme of E3. Like, I think that's it's the theme. So if Smash is gonna be the theme, I feel like it would look bad if it was just a port of the Wii U and that was the theme of, if it was like their big main like game to show off at E3, you know? Like, that just, I don't.
Yeah.
At this point,
literally, like any other game would be more exciting. I'd rather a Pikmin themed one if that's the case.
Yeah.
Yeah. E3 is not really like a time for ports. Like, I feel like that's sort of like Nintendo's mind frame. I'm not sure if they've like shown. I mean, I know Rocket League, but that's like an indie game, and that's huge. So I mean, I'm not sure.
I just don't see this. Oh, go on.
Right. No, go ahead. I was just gonna repeat what I said.
Okay. So I just don't think. First off, I'm not of the opinion that this is a port, because I don't think they've ever announced a port of any of the Wii U games and not told us it was a port. That's never anything they've done. Why would they keep us in the dark? Why would they be all like, "Oh, it's not a port, but maybe it's a port," and then just be like, "Oh, yup, here you get some dude coming up on the stage, you get Sakurai coming up on the stage, and be like, "Hey guys, I'm here to disappoint you and tell you it's a port." Like, they would have told us already. They wanted to drum up hype and beyond like over 9,000 amounts of hype over here, and then be like, "Yep, it's a port."
That's a whole other great point. It's just kind of like, if it was a port, they would have shown off gameplay. They didn't. So, you know, it could be a huge like cock tease or something, but Nintendo doesn't do that. It would be dumb. It would just be dumb.
That would destroy,
especially
like, everything.
Going the extra mile of like creating a tournament for it. Like Brandon said, I just doubt that would be the hugest like blue balls in history of any company.
It's gonna be really.
Yeah,
it would totally be. I want to get more into this, but like there was another topic I had set here, so let's sort of run through that one. It's pretty interesting still. We're gonna talk about the sales, this news of Nintendo Online coming out in May, and how Nintendo said that they plan on supporting the 3DS beyond 2019. So, before we delve into the sales, what do you guys think about Nintendo announcing their online news in May? I mean, it's like a day or two away, right? So hopefully we get the online news early May, and then maybe that's when we'll hear about Pokemon or something, right? Because they want to show off online features later on, maybe. What do you guys think?
Online features for Pokemon.
I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't think they would talk about Pokemon during.
No. Hold on. Let me rephrase. Okay, I didn't mean to say that they would show Pokemon off literally the same time they talk about the online features. What I meant to say was that I think, well, Nintendo said they're going to talk about the online features in May, right? Which is next month. It just starts on a date, right? But maybe after they talk about the online features, then we can maybe get that Pokemon Direct within the last week or so of May, right? Now that the online features have been revealed, maybe there could be some sort of focus on the trailer that references that. That's what I was trying to say. Two separate things.
I still doubt it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think they would wait that long. Maybe they would. Maybe Nintendo would totally wait that long. Pokemon Company would be like, "Yep, screw you guys. We're doing it the day before E3." Oh.
Well, I mean, we're already in. When's they gonna show it? Like, we're already in May. Maybe it's not coming this year. Maybe they're not gonna show it at all. Or maybe they're saving it for
even if it
E3.
comes early next year, they're gonna show it.
Yeah.
Go on, Will.
And I feel like a lot of people are like, well, you don't have a choice. You're gonna show it, and then I don't think people realize how much, I guess, prerogative they have over their own directs.
They could wait
like,
literally the week right before E3 if they wanted
Yeah.
to. They did that last year. Of course, it wasn't as big of a deal, but they could still do it again. Like the hype that would create, you know?
They could be petty and like show it during Microsoft's E3 or something. Like they could be super petty about it.
That'd be ruthless.
But
Yeah.
I think you said, as far as the online stuff, we're getting news on their website. They didn't say that we were going to get like a direct or like a trailer or anything. So I'm like, what kind of news? We might get a trailer. Maybe the news on their website is like a trailer that they post on their website about it. But they said this in a couple of different interviews that like when we see the online service, we're gonna want to get it. Like it's just gonna like blow us away so much. We're just like, yup, and we're getting that for sure.
What if Virtual Console becomes kind of like a gamer, like Xbox's Gamer Pass, where it's just kind of like a subscription service? I would love that. I would love that, honestly.
That would be terrible.
Oh, where our opinions are so different.
I mean, I doubt that we're gonna get. I mean, this sounds like something they just said to hold the shareholders on there. Like, we really want to know about your online. Like, your fans don't even know about your online. They're like, we're gonna show something in May. Like, and then they probably just put it will cost $20 for like the third time in a row. Like, literally the third time in a row.
Oh gosh. Hopefully.
I mean, I know. I mean, I hope like something like maybe we get a web browser for the Switch finally out of it. I mean, I don't know. I'd say if we were getting anything, that would be it. Though. I don't know. Talking about online, why would you do that? That would be ghetto. Like, why would you talk about online if we cannot get on the web? That doesn't make sense. I mean, to me, anyways.
It's an interesting point.
Yeah. I feel like this is going to be something big, though, because they actually predicted losses on the Nintendo online service for a short period of time. They said it wouldn't be large, but they actually predicted losses on their online service.
So, like, they're going to sell it at a loss? Is that what you're saying?
No, like the things they're implementing probably won't be covered by the initial wave of early adopters to the online program. That's what they're saying. Like, they're going to lose money at first before they make it back. So I think they're paying for dedicated servers and stuff like that, because I don't see what else they would be doing with the online service.
I mean, considering that Smash is coming out this year, right? They're putting such a huge focus on Smash Brothers. Like, I think they're probably going all in here on making sure that a 60 frame per second 4-player game can totally happen with no lag at all, right? Like, that's probably their
thing that never was
focus.
able to do on the Wii U.
Right, yeah. Well, it's weird, though, because I feel like there were definitely other games that worked out just fine and were at 60 frames per second.
Mario
and a whole
Kart
bunch
8
of
was
characters.
pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, look, Call of Duty was online on the Wii, right? I'm pretty sure that was 60 frames per second. And if it wasn't, it was on the Wii U. So, I don't know. It's kind of weird that Smash hasn't been able to hit that benchmark. But for whatever reason, I don't understand why. But I feel like this time they have to do it. And I think having those dedicated servers is a big part of that plan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, kind of moving away from the online news, right? What do you guys think about Nintendo saying that they plan on supporting the 3DS beyond 2019? That they're already working on stuff for beyond 2019. They said 2019 and beyond. I kind of interpreted it as like maybe something in 2020, which is I don't know, because I look at the games that are already coming out for 3DS. Most of them are some sort of port or remake, right? Like that's not necessarily a fully new title. Like the only thing that was there was like the Dylan game. Everything else is like some sort of remaster or remake or port.
Right. They feel like good, like they're good games, and like definitely not like bad or trash or anything, but they feel like filler stuff. Like there should be big games coming as well. It's like imagine if the only thing coming on the Switch were the Wii U ports and like Mario Tennis Aces. That's it. Like that's what the situation 3DS is in.
Yeah, I mean, I think they should just leave it to the third parties. Honestly, like
Mhm.
there are a lot of great third-party games that are coming. Like we need, like they should spare no mind to the 3DS at this point, if you ask me.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to blame them though. It had like one of its. I think they said this holiday was a better year to date than the holiday before it and the holiday before that. It's like one of the best holidays the 3DS has had in a while. It's like, well, who is buying these things? Stop it. I think it's kind of what they said, as well as they hinted that it was parents buying them for their kids. Like
Mm,
it's the cheapest you can get a cheap like 2DS like for like 60 to like $70 in some cases if you find a good deal, and you get a game with it. You get a game with that. You get a system and a game for less than $100. Like
yeah,
that's just gonna always be a market for that. Even the Switch is doing so well, it's still a $300 console with no game.
yeah, true. I mean, the 3DS does have like one of the best libraries for
Hmm.
games in all of like history for any handheld or maybe just
Yeah.
any console in general. Not sure, but yeah, I mean, like you said, there are like really great deals on the 3DS. Like
Hmm.
$50 at my Walmart, like 52.85 or something like that at my Walmart. They're just it's like they might as well just give them away, honestly.
Right? They practically are, because the software costs almost that much. They're practically giving you the hardware away with the software.
Right.
It's insane. And
So
like, yeah, I mean, I agree. The backlog is great. I've been going through them, streaming them on my channel, and I've been playing a bunch of different 3DS games on there. And I got even more planned. So it's just like so many games that I didn't get to play or didn't feel like I played enough on the 3DS. So I can definitely understand why it's selling. I just hopefully I just feel like Nintendo isn't putting, as long as Nintendo isn't putting their main resources into it, it won't be a problem. Because they seem to be
Mhm.
doing like mostly porting stuff, which they don't do. Third party stuff, obviously they don't do that. So I feel like the amount of resources Nintendo themselves actually have in it are very, very
yeah, like
small.
I don't think any of Nintendo's main teams are working on 3DS content. Like that's like not really. Like it's very minimal if they are.
Actually, now that I think about it, that what you said, when that might be true. Like they might be, or what you just said, I'm just not sure I did it right. I think they are sort of using it as like using like smaller teams or like just commissioning other teams, whatever the case is. I guess they're training other teams or like licensing out. They're probably like, hey, 3DS is dead. We don't want to pay any more attention to it. Who wants Metroid? Who wants Luigi's Mansion? Who wants this? Who wants to port this? Who wants to port that? It's like I think it's quick money, honestly. So yeah.
It's quick money, and it's a great way to work with relationships with other developers, as you said, Will. And I put up this graphic here as we sort of trend into the sales part of this topic, of the sales for this Nintendo Switch and the 3DS. But let's talk about 3DS first, because that's what we're talking about, right? And Nintendo's 3DS currently, life to date, is at 72.53 million units sold. And in terms of software, 364.89 million units sold. And the reason I'm talking about that right now is because, well, there's a lot there. They sold a lot of games, clearly, and they have quite a bit of hardware out there. So, in a way, it makes sense for Nintendo, as they've said in their shareholders meeting, that for them to support it, because it still makes money. It's still something worth supporting. It's not dying down. It's not slowing down. Not really. So that's why they're still putting content out there for it, but it isn't the kind of content that's like a Breath of the Wild or a Mario Odyssey, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, that's why they're supporting it. Now, I think once we finally get information of Pokemon Switch, right, like that's going to be very telling, because Pokemon is basically what has been the heart and soul of all the handhelds on Nintendo system for Nintendo. So if Pokemon Switch is just Pokemon Switch, like if we don't get if like let's say, what if like they somehow make it a port for the 3DS as well or something, like if that happens, the 3DS is definitely living for a while longer. But if once there's only an exclusive Pokemon Switch game and nothing for 3DS in terms of mainline Pokemon, that's when the 3DS will absolutely be going downwards, right? Like it's probably already starting to trend down, but like that's when we know for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, that the 3DS is dead. Like once Pokemon is for sure gone, and like that's what we expect. We still haven't seen the full on reveal of it, right? So and once Pokemon Switch releases, that's it. Like people are gonna be, oh, where's Pokemon for 3DS this year? There is no Pokemon for 3DS this year because it's done. But
I do think that there is room for them to reconsider. Maybe they just say that to say it. It's like, oh, as far as we're concerned now, what the Switch is doing, even though it's doing incredible, isn't really like a lot of income comes from the 3DS, and it still does. I wouldn't be surprised if most of it still came from 3DS, honestly. Um, so I still think, like you said, Andres, like if Pokemon does really good, slowly but surely, a lot of the user base from the 3DS will sort of abandon it because for that's what a lot of people are waiting on. That's like the last Smash. I know that's gonna kill off the rest of the Wii U people who are in denial about the Switch, and now Pokemon is just gonna kill off the 3DS. I mean, that's how I feel.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think there was still we won't be seeing like they sold millions of units since they last updated. Like it was below 60 last time they updated. I don't think we'll see something like that. I think maybe by 2020, like we could see sales like of the 3DS at maybe 75 million. Like I think it's gonna start slowing down a lot. People will still buy it, for their kids and stuff. But I don't think there's gonna be this huge market like there still is. Like people still buying 3DSs, like they're still selling really well. I don't think that's gonna happen after Pokemon comes out. As you said, Smash Brothers. It's just dead. It's not gonna happen anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, when that happens, we'll definitely see the transition, I think. But let's move on to talking about some Switch sales, okay? So the Switch has been out for barely a year. It is over a year, but barely. It has sold 17.79 million units as of the shareholders meeting data, and software-wise, it has sold 68.97 million units. Considering how young the Switch is, that's the amount of software is actually pretty damn good. That is really good. I think that's like about a fifth as much as a 3DS with not nearly as much units and only being out on the market for a year. The amount of software selling on the Switch is crazy, and nearly 18 million in just a year is really, really good. The Switch it's doing really well so far. It's very promising to me. But what do you guys think about these numbers?
I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, in December, I think they were saying it hit like the early December is when we hit above Wii U sales, above 13.5 million. It's like early to late December, and we're already at almost 18 now, and it's been like 3 or 4 months. That's crazy. That's about 5 million in 3 to 4 months. That's absolutely insane. During a slow period, when there's not any huge.
This is a slow period. Yeah.
How does that happen? Where are these? What are the games that are pushing this? What are they? I don't understand. Maybe
Donkey
it's
Kong. Hasn't come
out
yet.
It's Tropical Freeze. That's what's doing it for sure. Yeah. I'm just like, that's insane.
It's Nintendo Labo, bro.
Oh yeah.
They sold like Labo. 2 to 3 million Switch units because it's just Labo, which is not the case, guys.
Yeah. No,
yeah.
Fake news, man. Fake news.
Yeah.
But they predicted like 10 million, and that does not include their initial like pre-orders and stuff. So day one was like 2 million. So it would have been at like 12 million according to their predictions.
So they still exceeded their predictions by a lofty amount.
Yeah, by like 6 million.
Yeah. So just keep that in mind as we go into the final topic here. Will, do you have anything to say as to hardware sales before I sort of talk about the software sales, and so we can move on to the final topic?
No, just insert generic. Switch is doing good. OMG.
Woo!
I mean, like 20 million is like really low at this point. I was like, what? Like, I was like, what did you say that their goal was again? They're like 20 million. I'm like, what? It's like at 18 million.
Well, 20 million more is the goal for this fiscal year. 20 million whole new. Yeah, so the forecast is that Switch will be at nearly 40 million by this time next year. That's their forecast. Yeah.
And they keep it low. As I said, they sold 6 million more than they forecasted, so.
Right. What if we get a price drop for Switch by holiday 2018?
I could see it.
That would be a year in. It'd be selling for $249.99 would be great. Or they could just go for more bundles. That's another option.
Give me a 4K dock, Nintendo. What are you doing?
If that comes, I think 2020.
I think we'll get some like hardcore bundles. Maybe not like Zelda. I can see them throwing in 1-2 Switch and like I could see them doing a bundle with Labo that would be like insane costly. But, yeah.
Mm-hmm. 1-2 Switch should have been a pack-in normally. That would have been
Yeah.
perfect.
I actually, you know, I don't agree. At first, I did agree, but now, since time has passed, 1-2 Switch is not a good game. And I think the 1-2 Switch would have told a different story for the Switch. Like, the Switch is not a casual system in the way that 1-2 Switch would suggest it to be. So the fact that it didn't come packaged into the system, I think, was good because it would have told a different story as to what the Switch is. So I disagree in that way.
I don't know. I want to try it just because I hear the HD Rumble is mind-blowing. So I ain't gonna pay $50 for HD Rumble tech demo though.
I think if you really want to get like a tech demo of Switch, get Nintendo Labo. Like that is way cooler, in my opinion. Yeah. The idea that the HD Rumble is very sophisticated, the IR camera is very sophisticated. There's a lot of things you can do with that stuff. So I mean, if you really want to get like like an understanding of how the Switch works and stuff, and see the different features, get Nintendo Labo. It's not that much more expensive than 1-2 Switch. It's like what, like $10-20 more? Like
yeah, you don't have to milk cows.
Right. Yeah, it's better in my opinion. So I wouldn't get it unless you just need something to play with friends. But then there's other cool games to play with friends. So yeah, maybe that Mario Party game that was trademarked is coming out soon. That would be great.
Just don't put me in a car with everyone else, and I'll be happy about Mario Party 11.
So let's talk about the software sales quickly. Okay. Mario Odyssey, life to date, 10.4 million units. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, 9.22 million units, which puts it over the Wii U version of Mario Kart 8. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild on the Switch is at 8.48 million units. Count the Wii U, it is the best-selling Zelda game of all time, not counting, assuming you don't account for remasters. And considering the Switch is just started, like, Breath of the Wild is going to be the best-selling Zelda game of all time by all perspectives and all considerations. So that's really cool. And what else? Splatoon 2, 6.02, 1-2 Switch, 2.29, ARMS, 1.85, Xenoblade 2, 1.31, and that makes it the best-selling Monolith Soft game of all time. And Kirby Star Allies is on pace to be the best-selling Kirby game of all time. It came out in March, and it's already at 1.26 million units. So what do you guys think about these software sales? Best-selling Zelda, best-selling Monolith Soft game was Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has already beat the Wii U version. What do you guys think?
Did you say 1-2 Switch sold over 2 million?
Yes.
Because nope, didn't. Okay, it didn't need to be a pack, and Nintendo earned a crap ton of money from that for some reason somehow.
It's a launch title.
Oh my gosh.
It was what was available day one.
Yeah, from what I've seen of the difference between Switch version of Breath of the Wild and the Switch or the, GameCube and Wii U combined totals of Twilight Princess, the Switch is like 500,000 away from beating that combined just by itself without the Wii U version. So that's just doing super good, which I think is way more deserving than Twilight Princess. Honestly, Twilight Princess did not deserve to be the best-selling Zelda game. In my opinion, it is the worst 3D Zelda game.
Well, marketing can do a great job.
Yeah, it was on the Wii, man. What you gonna do?
I'm telling you, man, quality only can do so much for you. Marketing is really can make you sell. And I'm not just talking about games. Marketing is what gets you out there the most. Quality,
Nintendo usually has both.
Lately, they've had both. I think Nintendo has had some periods of really poor marketing, the Wii U. But, yeah, in general, I agree with you, Will.
That wasn't without its own... I guess that era wasn't without its own good marketing, though. Like, I think the amiibo were marketed exceptionally well.
That's true.
The amiibo were, yes, but the Wii U itself was not.
Yes.
But even then, they still had their moments of, like, shine.
They did. 2014 E3.
Mario Maker,
yeah. Since, like, their birth in the gaming industry, they've always been, like, really good at marketing. But, yeah.
I feel like when I compare them to, say, for example, Sony, I don't think they're that good, right? Like, I think Sony has... Like, sometimes Sony doesn't even really necessarily have that many great games, but, like, they're really good at, like, all the lights and tricks and stuff, and part
God
of...
of War is the only ad I ever see on Twitch.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, for example, like Sony, I mean, we kind of talk about it here and there. Like sometimes they'll have a game that's been shown at E3 3 or 4 different times, but they have a really epic looking CGI cutscene that's not even representative of gameplay necessarily. They show it at 2 or 3 years E3s in a row, and everyone's super excited. Do they actually have those games coming out within that year? No, sometimes they don't, and even if they don't have a good year, because of the way they just show off really cool stuff all the time, the public perspective is that, hey, they're doing great.
That's the public is easily duped.
Yeah.
I still think Nintendo's better. I guess that in one way they could that could make them better since they're good at like duping people. I guess that's what marketing is. You're convincing people to buy your thing. But I don't know. I still think Nintendo's better.
I think in this generation, Nintendo's better because they actually fulfill their promises.
Well, since the Switch has come out, I think Nintendo has been doing really great marketing-wise, and I wouldn't say that Sony's been like markedly better than the Switch since it's come out. I just think there have been a lot of more periods where the Sony has been better than Nintendo, but right now I don't really see why I would say Sony is definitely better, but they have been in the past.
Yeah.
I disagree, but yeah, let's go.
Yeah, we could make this a whole discussion. Like I would bring up like the N64 and the whole Crash Bandicoot stuff, and then, but yeah, we don't really have to dwell on this. So let's yeah, I guess is there anything else we want to say to like the software sales, best-selling Zelda, you know, Mario Kart just passing the Wii U on Switch, beating out the Wii U version? Like, what do you guys think about all of this?
I'd like to point out that just real quick, I'd like to point out that Mario Odyssey is over 10 million, and that's absolutely insanity.
Came out in October.
How? How is it over 10 million?
The end of October. So really like a day of October. So we got November, December, January. It was like not even 6 months. Not even 6 months. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Do you think Mario Odyssey will pass 20 million lifetime?
Probably, honestly.
I think without a doubt.
That's what, yeah, man. It's kind of crazy because like I remember the Wii days, like the Mario Galaxy games sold well, but compared to the new Super Mario Brothers series, which is not the series that I really liked by comparison,
they sold like 30 million.
Yeah. So it's interesting to see Mario Odyssey perform so well. I would love to see it get to 30 million. That'd be great for Mario. Really great. So what are you guys saying in the chat? You know, we had a long topic, so I couldn't get to you guys. So like, let's see. Oh, so Phantasm Wolves is talking about like maybe like an outlandish like third-party choice. It would be Fortnite Soldier for Smash Brothers. That'd be interesting.
No, please, God, no.
Savage Force talking about a Paper Mario Labo edition.
That'd be awesome.
I think there's something there, honestly. There's something there. You have to figure out how you can make the Labo interesting all of the time, but there's something there for that, for sure. Yeah.
I could see, like, instead of calling Paper Mario, they call it Labo Mario, or like Paper Mario Labo. Though I would hate if they tried to force the actual, like, cardboard thing. I think it would be a cool reference to Labo, but, like, I just want a hardcore RPG.
Oh, for sure. I'm wondering if maybe they would have like something. Obviously I want Nintendo Labo to never be a part, like a main part of a big like actual Nintendo game. Like, don't ever do it.
Which is the one issue with Paper Mario Labo, right?
Yeah. I'm thinking they could have Paper Mario Labo without it actually having to be like an actual Paper Mario game, just like something you do like with Paper Mario. Yeah, like a spin-off. Like
yeah, like a spin-off. Okay, yeah. That's cool.
I can see a reference. Like the Labo could be a part of the battle mechanics, like actual in-game. I'm not saying like I'm not saying like literally like in Paper Mario in recent years, God forbid, Mario use real life items. This time, a big mechanic could be the Labo. It just could be a really cool reference.
Okay.
DK plays a Switch in Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze.
So, I understand you now. I thought you meant a reference to Paper Mario in Labo, not a reference to Labo in Paper Mario. I understand. I definitely think if they make a Paper Mario game that reference Labo in some way, that just makes too much sense. But I definitely think they could make spin-offs of games as well as what you're talking about. I think they could have a spin-off of, you know, any type of Nintendo game.
Yeah, true. I've seen doesn't Microsoft uses Conquer for like one of their apps. I have like an icon for one of their apps or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You can like interact with them or whatever. It's really bad, of course, but still.
It sounds terrible, but I just hope, like, I'm fine if Labo gets like added like functionality in a main game if it's not required. Like imagine Pokemon Snap, if you had the option, you could use normal controllers just like normal, but if you had the option to use like a Labo camera to like you do the game, I'd be fine with something like that. Like just like the ability to turn on and off motion controls. That's what that is to me. It's just the option of another form of control. The instant that they make a mainline game where a actual mechanic requires Labo, all hell would break loose, man. Nobody would be okay with that. I don't think Nintendo plans on doing that, though. I think they've been very specific that they want to keep those things separate. Hopefully.
Yeah, that's the thing. But, I mean, you know, as long as it doesn't take away from the main game experience, I think it'll be fine. But let's move on to the final topic, guys. And we sort of referenced pieces of this throughout the discussion. But, yeah, it's time for the climax, I guess. So, E3 plans were revealed, as we sort of touched on earlier. But there was also these comments made by Kimishima that he basically, he literally said that the ingredients, quote unquote, that the ingredients are already in place that set up the Switch to sell an additional 20 million units this fiscal year. So what does that mean exactly? My interpretation of that is that the games that they have planned to push the Switch, they already have ready to go. Or when I say ready to go, like they are on, they are on pace to come out when they need them to come out. So, that could, one of them obviously is Smash Brothers. Maybe the other one is Fire Emblem. Maybe Fire Emblem this time is going to be like the biggest Fire Emblem game ever, right? That is a possibility. And when I started to think about it from that perspective, that really excites me. Like, this could be the most ambitious Fire Emblem game yet. And they made a big jump on the 3DS, and seeing what they could do on the Switch, really exciting to me. Maybe Animal Crossing could be one of those games, right? Maybe Pokemon, as I stated earlier, really is in that window of, even if it's not a 2018 title, it's still an early 2019 title, right? Like, that's one of the reasons why I kind of think that Pokemon Switch, even if it's not 2018, is still hitting early 2019 because of those comments by Kimishima. He's saying that they already have all the pieces in place to make sure Switch hits that 20 million forecast. So, what do you guys think from this? Do you guys think there are other things in the works? What are your guys' thoughts?
Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing has got to be coming, man.
Animal Crossing. I don't think, Fire Emblem isn't really, I guess that could hit at the point where you're siphoning off what's left of the hardcore 3DS fan base. I guess that could work in a sense, but I don't really think that's like a huge heavy hitter.
I think Fire Emblem sort of got to another level on the 3DS, though. Like, I think Nintendo... Brandon, you were telling me, like, a couple weeks ago that Nintendo sort of considers Fire Emblem, like, as a heavy hitter now.
That.
Yeah, that was Will.
That was
you?
Me.
Oh,
They consider it a major IP now.
Yeah.
Which is no surprise at all, because they have regular releases on 3DS. But I'm saying it's not really a...
system
seller. I don't think it's a system seller.
Okay.
Like, I don't think people are rushing out like Fire Emblem Game League, even though I'm sure a lot of them deserve it. A lot of gamers don't really care. But I do think Animal Crossing fits that bill, and I think Pokemon fits that bill easily. Smash fits that bill.
Yes, absolutely.
A lot of the games fit that bill. So.
Right. Yeah. If they get Pokemon, Animal Crossing, and Smash out by March 2019, then that is GG bros. GG bros.
No read.
Yeah. Actually, I'm seeing that No Filter just came in. What's up, man? He's saying he thinks Fire Emblem could be like a 3 to 4 million seller.
I think it's gonna be more than that.
Yeah.
Well, on Switch.
More than that.
I don't know.
It's gonna be more than that. It depends. Like, what time frame are you talking about? Lifetime?
But is he mean pushing? I thought he meant pushing 3 to 4 million Switch units. That's what I thought he meant, but maybe he just means like that game itself.
No.
Yeah,
If they
but
strike gold, then
well, I mean, there's a huge Fire Emblem audience, right? And Will, you said yourself that they could siphon off some of that 3DS audience into the Switch with Fire Emblem. How big is that going to be? That remains to be seen, but it's definitely going to be something, right? It's not going to be nothing. Like it's not going to be nothing. It's something. The question is, how much is that something? I don't know. But it's definitely something else. Like it helps. It obviously helps.
not sure how much it helps.
It might help more than Metroid or Bayonetta. Unless unless the next, historically speaking, compared to like previous Metroid or Bayonetta games, right? Although I have a feeling that at least with Metroid, they could be making a big jump here, so that whenever that game comes, right? I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to get into that debate again, but whenever that game comes, I have a feeling that game is going to be a system seller. It's going to become a system seller. Is it going to be like the level of like Smash or Animal Crossing? Probably not, but you know, if they really go all in on that multiplayer aspect that we've heard about, right, and they master the single player and they really sort of have them complement each other, it could become a hit, right? It could become something like, you know, something addictive, right? Like maybe like a Red Dead Redemption level. Okay, that's too much. Maybe Splatoon levels of like, you know, bringing in a large audience. Like that would be, I think it's possible.
There's no way Pokemon. I mean, there's no way Fire Emblem is coming after Pokemon. No filter. There's no way. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, it also could be, since we do have confirmation as Nintendo fans that like there are multiple unannounced games coming this year. So I think that makes the case like more valid for like Animal Crossing this year. I think that makes sense. I mean, like the statement itself, he doesn't reference anything specifically either, so it could be more than just game. Like, I've seen a tweet that specifically says, "Oh, the games are ready," but he says the ingredients. He doesn't mention any sort of medium in general. Like he could mean like certain apps or said ways to expand the audience, like he mentioned earlier in the year. So
the online.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like the online could bring in some elements. They could bring in a lot of people. That's true. And, you know, it may not even be first-party games, right? It could be third-party stuff. What if Grand Theft Auto is announced for Switch, right? What if Fortnite is announced for Switch and that has some, for whatever reason, brings in more people to buy the Switch? Like, those would be huge.
They have exclusive costumes as well.
Yeah. What if Red Dead Redemption's coming to Switch, right? Like,
that.
Well, you know. Yeah.
At least not this year.
One can dream, right? Like, what? That would be a huge shock, though. You know, that would be...
Mind equals blown.
Yeah, exactly, right? Those are... But still, some third-party games could be part of Nintendo's plan, right? Grand Theft Auto and Fortnite could be some of those games that Nintendo's thinking, hey, this is going to help push those sales. So, you know, it's a possibility. And just random, because I heard you guys mention earlier, I actually think Fire Emblem could come out in December, but could come out in November. And, you know, that sort of could bring in, like, the 3DS audience.
Fire Emblem is an interesting, not Fire Emblem, GTA is an interesting case because it was just like announced the most profitable anything ever in the history of anything ever. So like, I doubt it wouldn't come to this, or at least if it did, it would definitely like sell systems. I don't know.
Why are people still buying that game is my question. Who does not have this game? Who doesn't already not care? Like, I don't have the game, but that's just I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care about it. So
yeah, you don't have the game, but it's because you don't care. It's not because you can't get it. Like, who are these people out there who are just like, I've been waiting to get GTA 5, but I just haven't had the chance. I also, by the way, I'm 10 million people right now. Like, what the hell, man? Who is buying this game? Like, people got to be having like 6 copies of this thing or something. I don't understand.
Yeah, me personally, I've bought the game like 3 times, but it's not even like
you've bought it for us already,
right? And I bought I've owned Super Mario 3D Land 6 times. I don't know what? Like. There's like a certain quality of games. Every time I was like, oh, I'm gonna trade this game in, and then I'm like, I need that game. And then I just buy it again and then again. I think Rockstar is good at like that quality of a game. where you would buy it over and I was like, I don't really like the game itself, but all my friends have it, and like the online is fun and stuff. So
The
Yeah.
online does look really cool.
And
Not gonna lie.
considering that Nintendo is gonna, this is the year of Nintendo coming out with an online service, maybe there's some sort of tie-in between Grand Theft Auto and the online service. There could be something to that. Yeah, man. I think, like, if I have to say that there's one third-party thing that's like, that's the big thing, a Grand Theft Auto 5 port is it, which, if you think about it, shouldn't be a big deal, right? But because it's Nintendo, it is a big deal, right? Like, all the other systems have Grand Theft Auto 5 already. They've had it for years. But because it's Nintendo, and because the Switch is portable, this will be huge. So, I think that's going to play a vital role in, things kind of going way over the top here, in terms of sales at least.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Something I was going to say about Fire Emblem, we're talking about a bunch of other stuff, but Fire Emblem, I could see getting a bigger audience just because, I wonder if this will be a Fire Emblem Awakening kind of situation for the series.
Word awakens. Isn't it funny how Awakening kind of like helped the series to explode? Yeah, right?
Yeah, I always thought that was funny, but I don't know. Maybe they did say they wanted to push the graphics. Is that something that Fire Emblem has been limited on? It never really been on powerful hardware, except the GameCube back then that was relatively powerful hardware.
It had some really killer cutscenes. That was the beginning of the cutscenes, which sort of eventually we started seeing on the 3DS.
Right. I wonder if we'll see something to that level of jump, because they did say the pretty much the only thing we've heard about this game is it's gonna have absolutely amazing graphics.
It's gonna look better than Fire Emblem Warriors.
Yeah. So I'm just like, oh, maybe that's what will pull people in. We'll get all the graphics for us on the Nintendo Switch.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, that makes sense. There isn't really much like going on as far as like action goes in Fire Emblem. Like once two of the characters interact, they just slash each other one time, and then that's the end. You're back to the overhead view. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, actually. Graphics are a huge selling point. Yeah,
that's a huge. Okay, so going back to the Sony thing, what has Sony become known for doing as of late? Having some really amazing graphical shield pieces. God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, right? Shadow of the Colossus Remastered, right? Like, look at the Final Fantasy VII, like, remake trailer. Like, their graphics are a big deal, at least from a marketing perspective, because that's what people see, right? Pretty things make people want to buy. So, marketing's important, at least in that regard. And, hey, if Fire Emblem is a looker, which I'm sure it will be, that's going to mean something.
I think they'll get rid of the 8-bit kind of downward view, I think they'll still have the overtop view, obviously, because how would you do it without that? But I don't think it'll be 8-bit. I think it'll be fully rendered, like 3D models and stuff. And I don't think it'll be 8-bit any longer. So
also, they'll have feet. I noticed in Awakening, they don't, like the models don't have feet. Their feet kind of clip through the floor. I don't know what's going on, but they don't have
everything.
Feet.
That game clips through everything.
It just would have been too many polygons, so they just cut out all the feet. So they could, fit it under the 3DS quota for polygons. Yeah. I'm kind of joking, but it might be kind of true.
The environments in Fire Emblem, at least for Awakening, suck. Like, the graphics on them suck. They're so bad. The character models aren't that good either. So, like,
for the 3DS, they're pretty good.
Yeah, but I mean, like, even if you blow them up, like, I played it in 1440p in Citra, and it still looked bad. Like, those textures, man, they don't hold up.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that. I was like, Brandon like played it in the upscale, and even then it looked way better than like what the 3DS like could put out. Like, so yeah,
it's bad.
So they put on the Switch, made from the ground up, like actual face animations, and that game's gonna look. I think it's gonna look good.
This is kind of like completely random. Well, it's kind of more of like that Citra thing you're bringing up, Brandon. But did you guys hear that the Switch was hacked? Which we could have made a topic for this discussion, but we didn't.
Yeah.
I'm not hacking my Switch. I'll say that.
Dolphin. I would love to run Dolphin on the Switch and play GameCube games on it. Like, That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know how legal that'll be. I mean, I own a lot of GameCube games, but you know, like
Nintendo definitely wouldn't like it, but
no, they would not like it. No, they would not. But that'd be really cool.
I'm legit thinking of buying an extra Switch and then keeping my other one just to sell it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be worth a lot because they're just about like we're thinking like a month or two we could see a hit, just a secret hidden Switch revision and then just boom, no hacks.
Yeah, I do. I like how the actual, I guess, the hacking group is taking, like, they're like, well, Nintendo, you did good, but you couldn't beat the hackers, so yeah.
And what's funny is that Pokemon hasn't even come out yet, and hacking and Pokemon sort of kind of go hand in hand because people always, they hack like the 3DSs and
fucking leak the Pokédex.
Yeah, like, so now that the Switch is hacked, like, I can only imagine that they'll just get homebrew running on there and just, make every Pokemon the way you want it. Like, that might happen very quickly now. Which, I mean, apparently, it's believed that Nintendo's gonna change, like, with the actual innards of the Switch to sort of, combat, like, this hacking. But the original Switches, they are what they are. They are what they are already. So it's a hardware issue apparently, not a software one. So they can't just update their way out of this. So yeah, but I figured
that would be the case.
Yeah. So since we're sort of talking about homebrew and I mentioned Dolphin, do you think we'll actually get Virtual Console announced? Right? I mean, like we've talked about time and time again, but we have more information now. So what do you guys think?
Actually, I was gonna talk about like ever since I released my video about like I marketed the videos like Sega's Virtual Console.
Right. Yeah. Sega Ages.
They were like, they like a lot of fans are like really down in the dumps. It's like, where is Nintendo's Virtual Console? I personally think it's still coming in like some form. Like a lot of people think it doesn't, like it would not exist in any form or fashion anymore and won't ever happen again. I doubt that. Like even if it is like Microsoft's little Game Pass thing, like it's still gonna exist.
Yeah.
Like actually, it exists like right now as Arcade Archives. I think that's like an official Nintendo thing. So anyway, you top it up, I think we're gonna get Virtual Console.
And on the Nvidia Shield in China, which is basically what the Switch is hardware-wise, right? Like they are running Mario Galaxy in HD, Twilight Princess in HD, right? So like they're running Wii games in HD on a tablet already with the same basic architecture of the Switch. So they already have the emulator for the Virtual Console for GameCube and Wii stuff. They just
and actually, did you see the rumor that the next game is gonna be what was it? Donkey Kong Country Returns? Yeah, that was it.
In China?
No, like the next game for the Nvidia Shield is gonna be Donkey Kong Country Returns for the Wii, and it's gonna be HD.
There you go. Nice. Like those are, but that's the kind of thing I'd want to get. I personally would not mind a Gamer Pass for Virtual Console. I wouldn't. Yep. If I pay $20 a year and I get access to Virtual Console games and just basically like a Netflix sort of like setup, but for games, Virtual Console games, I love that.
I don't think it'd be that cheap. I think it'd be more expensive.
Oh, maybe the Gamer Pass thing could be like a separate purchase. That might be it. Like the $20 guarantees you the online functionality, maybe some other features, right? But if you want to have access to every single Virtual Console game at your will, you have to pay an additional monthly fee.
It did say we get some NES and SNES ones for free, though. So.
Yeah.
We'll get some for free. Yeah. Obviously, it has to happen because they promised us that we would get free ones. So, I don't understand if people were like, Virtual Console can't come to the Switch because Sega, a completely different third-party company, is doing something that's slightly similar to Virtual Console. It's like, whoa, what?
So I'm just going to put this out there. I'm putting out the 5-minute notice. So guys, if you have anything you want to ask or talk about in the chat you want us to reference, put it there. Put it in the comments. Going to start, winding down this podcast. But is there any final thoughts about anything we've talked about today, guys? You guys want to talk about Virtual Console more or, E3 plans or what have you? What do you guys want to get into before we, close things down?
Man, I'm just hyped for E3. Just cannot wait. Every time I hear it's like close to E3, I'm just like, oh, it is.
Yeah. May is like literally in an hour. So like We got like a whole month of like really bad rumors and quote unquote leaks and stuff, and like I can't wait, man. It's every year, can't wait.
Yeah,
It's every day, bro.
and I mean,
Just every day.
like Smash is at this point, I feel like it's guaranteed that Smash is like pretty new, right? Because it's the theme of E3. Yeah, I'm actually really excited for Yoshi now. I think Yoshi's gonna be a hit. Like if we're seeing how successful Kirby is, I can only imagine how successful Yoshi will be. Because if you think about it, we don't get as many Yoshi games as Kirby, right? And if you look at the trailer for Yoshi, it looks way more.
It looks way better than Kirby because
Yeah,
it always is.
yeah, it looks like a lot more involved and immersive than Kirby does. So I mean, I'm not saying that means it will sell better, but I think it's gonna be a hit, guys. I think we might, for those sleeping on Yoshi. Yoshi might start sleeping on you. Like, you know, there could be something there.
I always loved Yoshi.
Yeah.
Woolly World was so good in the Wii U. I don't know why they didn't port that. I guess because they have a new Yoshi, so they don't need to port it, but still.
Yeah.
It looks alright.
Yeah.
Like Woolly World 2, but that's it.
Well,
in some ways it does,
I think you should. To an extent, yeah, but also like it has like a 3D world that can go in and out of stuff, and it's interesting to me.
Woolly World.
I've rewatched the trailer like 7 times, so I've kind of analyzed it like too much.
Well, in my opinion, it's not really, especially it's not really anything new for Nintendo. That's like a gimmick they've done with Kirby. They've done that with Paper Mario.
I think
like,
yeah, Paper Mario. I think was the first to do it.
So like, this nothing. Hopefully they show more to it. Like I honestly hope there's more to it, but right now it doesn't. It doesn't grab me. I do think it's gonna be a hit though.
I just see Yoshi and I'm just like, oh, got good Yoshi game. We'll pick it up. I love Yoshi, man. But yeah, I mean, it took them so freaking long to come out with Yoshi's Woolly World, but they're not gonna port that to the Switch. Like what?
Yeah. And actually, Sabbath is asking, do we think it's a sequel to Woolly World? I don't think it's like a narrative sequel to Woolly World. Like I don't think the events of Woolly World will lead to, you know, this Yoshi game, but it is the progression of the Yoshi series, I think. So I think, you know, what they sort of established and learned with Yoshi's Woolly World, they took into the development for this game, I think. But it's still going to have its own feel to it, in my opinion. It's going to redo some different things as well. It has the aesthetic has some similarities, but it's also pretty different at the same time. So, yeah.
Same Unreal Engine 4. Completely different.
Yeah, it's a different engine. So,
yeah.
Yeah. One more thing I kind of want to talk about, right? So, like, you know, we know Smash, Fire Emblem, Yoshi are coming out this year. Pokemon might come out this year. But there's rumors of Animal Crossing, right? And you know, of course, Bayonetta and Metroid are, you know, in limbo. But what do you guys think there could be something else like that we might see at E3, like something big, something awesome? Like, is there anything that comes to mind that you think there's at least a minor, not like likely, like that you would bet your life or your money on, but just possible that we might see that could be really, really awesome?
Personally, what would be really, really awesome is if they remade another Zelda game like Skyward Sword HD. I personally find that really, really awesome. Mass appeal, not so much. Or if they remade Ocarina of Time, Unreal Engine 4, my neck goes blown. I'd die. But I'm kind of betting, like, if we were going to get something Zelda this year, I think we could see a remake of Skyward Sword HD.
This year, huh? Yeah, I feel personally, I actually like the idea of Skyward Sword HD, but I think to me, like, I think it's like a 2019 sort of thing.
It could be.
Mainly because Breath of the Wild just came out. You know, and they may even have like a Breath of the Wild Switch bundle this holiday season. You know, like I wouldn't be surprised to do something along those lines. But Skyward Sword HD would be so fun because like there's so much they could do with that, right? Like with
HD Rumble, man.
Yeah. That could add like maybe that resistance that the HD Rumble could provide could like sort of perfect the motion controls maybe.
Yeah. I think so.
Maybe.
And just the way better motion controls that are inside the Switch itself. Just the tracking on that's way better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw like a developer like say like the sensor and like the Joy-Con is just way better. Like it picks up like certain angles that the Wii remote could never dream of. I was like, oh, really cool. cool. I mean, I could see like a remaster of Skyward Sword. Like I would rather them add the ability to like sort of take away like the motion controls if at all, like as an option. But I think the overall would be cool.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
I've never really like definitively played Skyward Sword. Like I've played it, but I never really went all the way
like through its entirety. It's worth it, man. I do think like the beginning is a little slow for today's standards, right? Like, but narratively speaking, like the Skyward Sword I think has the best told story for any Zelda game. So in that regard, it's really cool. It's stylistically, I think it holds up relatively well. I think if they give it the HD remastered, you know, sort of look like the Wind Waker HD style, I think the game will be beautiful. And some minor like modifications could really smoothen up the experience and make it worthwhile in today's like higher modern standards. Like yeah, it would be great.
You just add some more bloom and you throw up the textures into 1080p and good.
Yeah. That scene where she like breaks free from like the crystal. Oh, that would be so good with like the bloom effect.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be great.
Like I can imagine, what if like they completely redo the amber effect and they just make it look way better, right? Because she's like in a giant amber casing. Like that would be, I can only imagine what they could do with that. Like that would be beautiful. So I'm seeing that Zach is suggesting maybe Pikmin. That's possibility. Yeah. We know that Pikmin 4 has been like in the shelf for well, we don't know, but we speculate, right? Because Shigeru Miyamoto said they were working on it like forever ago.
Say it was almost done.
Yeah, almost. They've probably already done with Pikmin 5 at this point. So yeah, like Pikmin 4.
That's both in a bundle.
They Pikmin 4. What if like that'd be so crazy? Yeah, we just didn't want to release Pikmin 4 on the Wii U, so we held it up, and now you get Pikmin 4 and 5 together. Here you go. $120 though.
Oh my gosh. Ah.
Yeah. That's the caveat. But it's yeah, that'd be great. I would love Pikmin, man. I'll be honest though, Pikmin 3 I didn't finish playing it. Like because my gamepad's annoying. Like the battery just dies all the time, and that's the main problem for me. I should probably just play it in Wii mode. And that not when I see like Wii remote and stuff, just set up the gamepad like somewhere so I can see it, and that'll be fine.
Yep.
Yeah, I could do something like that. I'm actually, heck, that could be a stream. Yeah. But yeah, I would love to see Pikmin. Will, do you have any ideas, maybe?
As like a fan that knows nothing about the inner workings of Nintendo, probably say like Star Fox. I'd expect like a Star Fox something.
Oh,
like,
the NVC brought that up in their podcast too. Yeah, I would love Star Fox to get another chance.
Star Fox game would be nice.
And maybe what if that is like the one more game that they need to fill out the holiday season, right? And it has like an online dogfight mode, like right. Like Star Wars Battlefront style.
Yeah. Except I think it'd be a better game.
Right.
Yes, with an actual campaign that's worth like paying attention to, and content and reason to come back
and great
fill
graphics
out, and no microtransactions.
We haven't seen a Star Fox game with modern graphics. Even the Star Fox game in the Wii U didn't use the Wii U's potential because they had to render the game twice.
It looked like an indie game.
They had to render the game twice, so it can only use 50% of the Wii U's potential. Like, imagine the jump.
But the textures are so amazing. I don't know why they... Like, there are some parts of it looked really good, right? There were some parts that looked really good. Like, some of the boss fights looked really good. Some of the art designs for some of the levels looked really cool. But, like, then they also went, like, and used, like upscaled, like, N64 textures for some of the maps. Like, I don't know what they were thinking. Like, it looked like an indie game. It kind of just looked like an indie game to me.
Imagine the parts that actually look decent. Now, imagine the fact that is 50% of the Wii U's power... And the Wii U itself is like a quarter of the Switch's power. So we're talking like an eighth of the Switch's full potential here.
I still think it's I think it's less than that, because I don't think they pushed that much time or money even into it, right? Like I think if they stuck with that design of dividing the outputs to two different, like the gamepad and the Wii U, like I think if they had more money and time, it would have looked even better, right? So like I see it as like 1/10 you know. So yeah, Star Fox, if it was made like ground up for Switch and they invested a lot of resources into it, which they might not, because Star Fox is not, you know, the biggest franchise for Nintendo. It's still, regardless, it would look way better for sure. Yeah, like I would have loved it if Star Fox Assault had like it had the most in-depth multiplayer mode. Like it was like it had just so many items and the maps were so cool and you could like jump on R-wings and tanks and go on foot. But I had no friends to play it with on my GameCube, so like if I had online, like if imagine the Star Fox multiplayer with online like that, it would be amazing.
Oh, that should have been the only thing they did for Star Fox Zero. Screw that awful campaign. Just give me online, you know, dog fights and. Cool
well, I would have been upset if there was no story mode.
I wouldn't. No, you would have been upset because you didn't know how Star Fox Zero turned out.
Right, I wouldn't have known what I would have been missing. However, I also want the next Star Fox game to actually continue the Star Fox series and not be, you know, fighting, you know, Andros for the umpteenth time and the ghost of my father coming out of nowhere to save me. Like there has to be something else. Like I want them to move past that moment in the Star Fox universe because no one dies, right? Well, maybe
the only moment we've ever
Andros.
Almost.
Like maybe they could create a whole new enemy, like and just but make him do something crazy, right? Like, maybe he kills Peppy. Oh, they can't do that.
No.
They can't kill Peppy.
Oh man.
Sorry, I'm thinking too much from like a beautiful narrative, but not great for having characters around to play with. But you know, yeah, I would love to see a new Star Fox game. I would like to see F-Zero. Anyways, you know, just to bring up one more game, like I think we need a racing game. So seeing Wave Race or F-Zero this year would be really cool. I think it would fill out the lineup too because we would get a kick-ass racing game. We'd have a kick-ass fighting game in Smash Brothers. You know, we'd have our RPG with Pokemon or Fire Emblem, right? So like, I think it'd be great. And I need an F-Zero. I really need F-Zero. So, but if I don't get F-Zero, I'll settle for Wave Race. Yeah. So
I want Golden Sun, but go ahead.
Oh yeah, Golden Sun would be cool too.
I need to try that game out. I've never played it.
The blasphemy. Well, I'm just kidding.
I'm sorry.
So, I guess it's, is there anything else we want to say, or should we call it a night, guys?
I'm good.
Cool. Yeah, this is like, kind of like a anticlimactic end, but oh well. And, yeah, I think Smash is going to be killer. I think, Smash is gonna blow our socks off this time.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I think so. It's no.
Smash 4 was disappointing, so Smash 5 better be amazing.
It better be. Yeah. And hey, if we actually get a Star Fox game this E3, I wouldn't expect it at all, but like that would be a very nice surprise, right? Or anything. Yeah. Pikmin 4, like there could be something. I wouldn't be surprised if there's something that we don't see coming that it's like that, you know, is like a really nice surprise. So we'll see. And this is the first of many E3 discussions, guys. So thank you so much for listening, everyone. Thanks for sticking by. If you have any sort of topic suggestions or anything you want us to ask, put them in the comments below. Not in the chat, the live chat, like, you know, afterwards, right? Or follow us on Twitter, you know, or our YouTube channels. The links are all in the description below. Make sure to check out Brandon and Will. And I bid you all a good night, or whenever you see this. Take care.
Bye, guys.